Baton Rouge Chief Administrative Officer Daryl Kissel said the verbiage of the new contract with Vera Mobility, the traffic camera company, allows BRPD to access those live camera feeds. Vera Mobility's slogan is a new kind of smart mobility company focused on safe cities, smart roadways, and the connected systems that tie them seamlessly together. Roughly translated, Vera Mobility is using their smart city surveillance cameras to help police spy on everyone. As the United States-backed coup attempt in Venezuela continues to take shape, shady anonymous actors are waging an information war, manipulating social media with automated posts in an apparent attempt to manufacture a faux consensus for regime change in the online theater. Mint Press News reports that Juan Guaido, who had a mere 90,000 followers on Twitter around the time of the coup attempt 1 year prior, and 34,000 around January 23, 2019, has since skyrocketed on the platform, currently enjoying a following of more than 1,100,000. While the phenomenon has not yet been linked to manipulation by the opposition, it raises questions about the online influencers who have tried to turn the previously little-known figure into a household name the world over. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details on how to raise your business's profile in partnership with the Liberty Beat. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat on this Tuesday, February 5th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
As Sao Paulo struggled to dig out after last week's devastating earthquake,
I'm just praying. I'm just praying and helping.
One group was left with no one to care for them.
There is nowhere for these homeless dogs to go. There is no food to give them. There is no clean water. These dogs are going to starve to death.
I have to do the humane thing. I have to put these dogs down.
O'Brady Shaw is the only journalist compassionate enough to do what has to be done.
Put down 50 or 60 dogs today. I didn't want to.
Let me help you!
But their fate would have been much worse if I hadn't done it.
It's better this way.
O'Brady Shaw goes where other reporters won't and does the jobs other reporters can't.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Gut Check with O'Brady Shaw. Live from Sao Paulo, tomorrow night, only on the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial in here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, we've got censorship to talk about, plus the lawsuit by Gavin McInnes, who is this, I don't know, right-wing guy, kind of?
I wouldn't call him right-wing.
No, I don't.
Right-leaning moderate.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll see a little bit more about him. He's suing the Southern Poverty Law Center, and that's an activist group that I guess tracks other activist groups that they don't like, basically, and we can talk about that.
Aren't all comedians these days who are like moderate, like just even like a little bit like right of, let's say, Bernie Sanders? Aren't they considered Nazis these days? If you're a comedian and you aren't like the most liberal of liberals, you're a Nazi.
Is McInnes a comedian?
Yes.
Oh, see, I had no idea.
He does a lot of political work, but he's mostly a comedian. He's done some pretty good stuff.
Is he like a stand-up comedian or like skits kind of?
He does a show. He does like, one of those talking head shows.
I thought he's also done some stand-up.
I think he has done some stand-up as well.
So we can talk about that stuff. Plus, last week, Johnson, you were in here. You do Tuesdays with us most of the time. And there's going to be one day where Vin will be in this week, but you won't. Or not this week, but this month. And it's going to be a weird month because I'm leaving for Mexico tomorrow. And so we're not going to have our normal Tuesday show next week unless something drastic happens in Mexico and we can't broadcast from there for some reason. But we're going to start with the story, Johnson, that you brought in last week, and we didn't get a chance to do it. And I said, bring it back in. Let's do it because it did sound interesting. And we discussed, what was it, working last week. It's some aspect of jobs last week, and I'm spacing on what it was. But we talked about I think it was it millennials and working? Honestly, I don't even remember what it was. But we talked about something jobs related last week, and I thought, oh, it would have been great to cover this also at the same time. But we just, as it sometimes happens with Free Talk Live, we run out of time. So Ian Johnson and Laurel here in the studio tonight. Of course, you can bring up whatever's on your mind. We invite you to dial in toll free at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Also, the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm.
So I do have that story up.
You pulled it up. Okay.
Yeah.
This is from Reason.com.
Yeah. So it's talking about an investigation into why people are working.
I remember. I'm sorry. I remember what it was. It was the article in the New York Times by a woman who was just bewildered as to why young people actually
they would keep working.
Seem to like working.
People like their jobs.
Right. She could not imagine why young people, presumably millennials, were actually interested in going to their jobs. The idea was just completely foreign to this person. So we ended up talking about, people who do enjoy working and why they enjoy working, and just kind of getting into that aspect of it. It was kind of an interesting story.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
There's satisfaction in participating in society and doing something that's valuable to other people.
Yes, to help others get what they want.
Exactly. Yeah. There is satisfaction in a job well done. There's satisfaction in bringing home your own paycheck that you earned yourself.
In fact, that's listed as one of the top things for employers. Like a lot of the articles where it says if you want to have and keep millennials at your workplace, one of the things that you need to offer, besides, perks and benefits to the job is some sort of sense of meaning, providing a job that provides that kind of sense of meaning. Otherwise, presumably, according to one of these silly articles, millennials will leave because, they just flit about from job to job, and if they don't find a satisfaction, well, then they're gone.
And meaning doesn't have to be something as incredible as saving somebody's life or making a huge difference in somebody's life. It can be something as simple as, fixing the railing on their front porch so now people aren't going to fall over. It's the satisfaction of doing something that needed to be done.
Well, not only that needs to be done, there are things that you can just help people with, and that people will appreciate you for. A good example of this is my roommate Matt. He is was a professional chef. He doesn't do that anymore because honestly, it's not the best paying of work. It's hard work. It doesn't really necessarily pay well unless you happen to be at one of the fanciest restaurants out there. But I've talked to multiple chefs who put so much effort into what it is that they do, and they're not doing it for the money. They really do it because they want to see people smile. They want to see people say to them, that was really delicious.
Although they do expect to be paid.
Well, no, of course. I mean, it's not all about getting somebody's appreciation, but you can get paid, and if nobody ever tells you your food's good, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah,
it's not going to be as satisfying of a thing, because that's
unless you make a TV show and tell other people how their food is terrible.
It's terrible.
There's satisfaction in that too.
There are going to be exceptions to the rules, obviously, but every chef I've ever known, that's their main reason for doing it. They want to satisfy their customer. They want people to feel like they're a good chef and they've made a really delicious dish or whatever. And whether it's something as a fancy restaurant or just your typical kind of average place, that's one of the driving factors. So just a job well done in general, whether it's something that needed to be done, because you didn't need to make a nice meal for somebody. They could have eaten something that wasn't that nice.
That's true.
It would have kept them alive. But in this case, they enjoyed the whole process. So we can get into the story, but we're going to the phones first. In this case, it's going to be from Reason.com. So last week it was New York Times, kind of leftist sounding article written by somebody who clearly doesn't want to work and doesn't understand it.
Sounds like a leftist.
Whereas with the folks over at Reason.com, normally these are people that are pretty libertarian writers, typically. So it'll be interesting to see where they're coming from on this perspective of why do so many modern jobs seem pointless. That's the title here. But let's go first to Ron in New York. The man obsessed already with the 2020 election. It's every single time. You've got something to say about it. Go ahead, Ron. What's the latest?
Well, I bring tidings of good news. Bill Weld has left the building. He has left the Libertarian Party officially. He has rejoined the Republican Party, so he's no longer our problem.
Isn't that a violation? Isn't that a violation of what he promised not to do? Didn't he promise that he wasn't going to go back to the Republicans?
Oh, but he's a politician. This is what they do all the time.
Yeah. I just thought it was worth pointing that out. That this guy, who the Libertarians were so excited about because he was a former governor of Massachusetts, which for me was all I needed to know he was bad news, is now, he's gone back on his promise that he wasn't going to rejoin the Republican Party. But this doesn't mean that he won't rejoin the Libertarians or rejoin the Libertarians, because they can, for instance, the Republican primary is going to be over by the time the Libertarians select their nominee. So if he fails at running for the Republican presidential nomination, which he likely will, he's going to, he can then just throw his hat right back into the Libertarian. Right?
Yeah. But I've also heard a report that here's what I've heard is that he talked with Justin Amash, and Justin Amash is going to run for the Libertarian nomination, and Bill Weld is going to run for the Republican nomination. And Bill Weld's probably going to fall flat on his face, but he doesn't know that yet.
I've heard he's done that a few times from heavy drinking.
That's what I've heard right now. But they're saying in 2 weeks, like on February 15th, he's going to make an announcement in Concord, New Hampshire. And typically when you set up a big announcement in a certain place, it's not to say, "Oh, I'm not running for president," which means he's probably in as a Republican.
Yeah, that's what it's sounding like. Although he did endorse Hillary Clinton while he was running for the Libertarian Party's presidential or vice presidential nomination. While he had received it, so he was their vice presidential nominee. He got on television and basically endorsed Hillary on more than one occasion. So maybe he'll pop up in the Democrats. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'd love to see if he runs as a Republican. Is he now going to have to mold himself as like a right-wing Tea Party, pro-life, anti-gay marriage conservative now?
I doubt it.
For most of his life, he's been a Democrat registered as a Republican.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know enough about the guy, and honestly, I find him very distasteful as far as, political candidates are concerned. But then again, that's true for me, for most politicians. Ron, thanks for the call. In fact, I'm going to put you on hold here. We're going to see if we can improve your call quality. Since you've called more than a couple times, I'm going to have you talk to the board operator, and we're going to see if we can improve that, because his levels are kind of like all over the place. He's real quiet, and he gets real loud. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Jobs, modern jobs. Why do so many seem pointless? Johnson, you're going to look into that with us here in moments. Your calls and thoughts are also welcome on whatever's on your mind. You can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc. Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses on the setup page, and then load the app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. AnyPay.global.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in 1 application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You dial in toll-free here, bring up anything that you want. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can, of course, take control of the airwaves. That's the point of Free Talk Live. And it's brought to you by Liberty.menu. If you are an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, then Liberty.menu is for you. If you aren't those things, then don't go to Liberty.menu because you're not welcome. But if you are a libertarian type, then you would really appreciate Liberty.menu because it can connect you to other liberty-friendly business owners. Because if you want to get a thing or a service of some sort, doesn't it make sense to buy from somebody who is ideologically compatible with you as opposed to, say, somebody who is against your beliefs and is then going to use the profits they make against you? So go to Liberty.menu and use code FTL. You can submit whatever you want. So if you have a business or maybe more than one business, or maybe you're a content producer like you, Laurel, you've got your own YouTube channel.
Yes.
So content producers are welcome. Businesses are welcome. Events are welcome. People that are making, coordinators of events and that kind of thing. Go to Liberty.menu. You can use code FTL and get a special Free Talk Live listener badge on your profile. We can't give you a discount because it's free to use Liberty.menu. So get on over there and check it out. It's Liberty.menu. Let's continue here with more of your thoughts. Matthew's on the line in Louisiana listening via TuneIn. And go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, and Laurel, you'll really enjoy the cost of Liberty.menu. It's free.
Yes, it is.
That's my favorite price.
Right. By the way, totally enjoyed your last video about poll numbers, the opposite number poll numbers.
Yep.
How do people find your YouTube channel?
It's Laurel. Just go to YouTube and Google Laurel, and you'll find me in YouTube.
I just don't think that's going to work. I mean, there's a lot of Laurels on YouTube. There's nothing else they can...
There's not a
Really?
lot of Laurels on YouTube.
Okay. I'm going to try it here, and I'm going to let you know what my results are.
It's a total code. It means Laurel.
The total what?
It's a code word. It means Laurel.
What code word?
It's a bad joke. Don't worry
Okay.
about it. It died. That joke died mercifully. Do not try to revive it.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It
So
was a
let's
terrible, terrible meme. You remember the blue dress, black?
Oh, you're talking about the Yanny Laurel thing?
the Yanny.
That's the
Okay.
first thing that comes up
Yeah,
when
I think
you
that's what he's
Oh,
when
dear.
you search for
That
Laurel.
might come up, yeah.
I am not seeing your channel here in the
Okay,
first
if you
page.
want to just type it in, it's youtube.com/c/Laurel's channel.
Laurel's channel.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's a little easier. Very good.
Okay,
So, Matthew, go ahead.
Last night I was listening to the last bit of the show. They replayed it this morning on WGSO, and there was a guy talking about the Constitution, and I believe it was you, Ian, who said that basically that did not work. I'm not sure if I entirely agree with you, but I do think we are a long way from what the founders had in mind, and the reason is the founders never envisioned a system where everybody who is a citizen would get the sovereign franchise. They had some restrictions when they first set up the Constitution, and I think it was you had to own real property
You're talking about for voting?
for voting. That is what the sovereign franchise means. It
Okay.
means you get to decide what, the representatives are and in whose interest they represent.
Well, I think what I was saying was that it was sort of a summary of what Lysander Spooner said about the Constitution, was that it was either powerless to prevent the government that we have today or that it authorized it. I mean, it's one or the other. So what's your preference?
Well, my contention is that basically we voted for the government we have now.
Well, I didn't.
Well, no, you didn't, but I guarantee you, say you have an election, 51% say, yay, we win, we get to implement our policies. The other 49% says, oh, no, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to incorrectly quote Winston Churchill, he said, democracy is the absolute worst type of government except for all the others.
I don't know if it's true. I don't know if that's correct. I mean, I think that...
the other choice that has a decent track record in one country, and that would be monarchy, and that's the only country where I can find that it has a decent, not a good track record, was basically England, later to Great Britain. But then they started to just kind of go from basically a system of individual liberty that they won at great cost during the Peasants' Revolt, and then they just started frittering their liberties away. And now it's better than the EU, but only slightly.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't Brexit, it looks really bad over in Europe.
Well, I think now that we're seeing a crackdown on people who have a difference of opinion, it's becoming much more obvious how important the Bill of Rights in the United States is, because they don't have it in the UK, because they don't have it in Europe. And we're seeing what a difference that makes when somebody like Count Dankula can be...
Count Dankula?
Yes, he is a YouTube creator, and he made some jokes people didn't like, and he was arrested, tried, and convicted for making jokes on his YouTube
This
channel.
is the gentleman, I'm sure you're aware of him, that made his girlfriend's dog salute like a Nazi.
Oh,
yeah, he's
that
got
guy.
the Nazi dog.
Oh.
But he didn't hurt anybody.
No.
Nobody
Just
was
hurt
injured.
someone's feelings.
It was a big joke.
He has since become very, very famous on YouTube. And
Really?
He was
very big.
How much time did he go to jail
convicted. Well, he was ordered to pay a fine, and he refused to pay.
Good.
And they're appealing it. I think it's currently in appeals.
And what was his name? Count what?
Count Dankula.
Dankula.
He's a Scottish guy.
That's great.
He speaks some other language besides English. I'm not sure
Scottish.
what it is.
All right, Matthew. So, what are you trying to say here about the Constitution? I'm not real clear. Are you saying that it's actually, worthwhile?
I think I really don't know. Because by and large, we're not as bad off as a lot of other places that don't have.
Yeah, but tell that to the people that the United States government has bombed to death. How do you think they feel about
I
it?
wasn't talking about people who live in other countries, mind you. I was talking about those who live here.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Bombs on, they may want to return the favor.
But the original, point of the United States, one of them was to not have a standing military and to only form that army at times when, defense was necessary. And now you have a occupying force going out into over 100 countries around the world and dropping bombs in multiple places over many years, killing many innocent people. That was not the original intention of the Founding Fathers, right? So, I mean, the Constitution has been an abject failure.
They did warn us against that, but originally, the Standing Army was formed after the War of 1812, when it was pretty obvious that whistling up the militia and going against the world's greatest fighting force on land was not all that successful until Old Hickory beat them back not too far away from where I live.
I think we would have been fine without the Standing Army. But thank you, Matthew, for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You want to comment? Is the Constitution an abject failure?
It is not.
I think it is. We can get into that coming up here in moments. Depends on, I guess, what you think its goals were. This is Free Talk Live.
This is George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM and History Channel's Ancient Aliens. We support the amazing energy, nutrition, and skincare products from Jeunesse. Jeunesse products are designed by leading doctors in their field with natural ingredients and even stem cell technology. These products help your body perform and look better. Shop Jeunesse at gcnlife.com or call 1-844-443-6637. gcnlife.com or 844-443-6637.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this hospital.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll free, bring up whatever you want. You can take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
I'm Laurel.
Coming up, we're going to tell you about the story we promised last Tuesday night, the one about why do so many modern jobs seem pointless. We're going to get into that coming up here. Johnson, you've got that to share. Also on the way very, very soon, we are less than basically a week and a half at this point away from Anarchapulco. And you can still go to anarchapulco.com. Maybe this will not be a sellout event, which, that said, it's going to be mostly sold out. It's going to be darn close to it because they'd sold, I think, over 2,500 tickets, and that was like a month ago. So they got to be getting close. Anarchapulco.com, code FTL. This is the first year Anarchapulco will be so big. Last year it was 1,700 tickets, and they did sell out. Having Ron Paul speak at your event tends to do that. In fact, they're having Ron Paul come back this year, as well as Judge Napolitano for the very first time ever. There will be dozens of other great speakers who are going to be performing there, discussing entrepreneurship, investment, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyles, and personal relationships for 4 days among the sun and beaches of a world-class resort. It was such a success last year that they have rented the entire resort this time. So everyone you see walking around is either going to be a hotel staff or they're going to be attending Anarchapulco, which is pretty cool. And again, there was a lot of people there last year. It's going to be even bigger this year, and you'll love it if you can make it down there. It's not too late to get your tickets over at anarchapulco.com. And yes, you can use coupon code FTL, and that will snag you a discount because you are a Free Talk Live listener. And we will be broadcasting from Anarchapulco, so don't miss us there. Mark's already down in Acapulco right now. He's been there basically for the last 5 days, so I'll be heading down there tomorrow, and Chris Reitman will be coming in to head up the show on Wednesday night. I think he's going to have Will Coley and Vincent in with him, so we'll have another live show from this studio, and then hopefully we'll be broadcasting from Acapulco as long as everything goes smoothly. I don't know what the internet connection is going to be like there yet, so there's some question marks that you don't really know what's going to be until you actually get there and try it out. So anarchapulco.com, code FTL. We will see you there. Let's go to the phones here, to the fun, or maybe not so much fun. This person calls themselves Angry, calling from New York. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello there.
Hey there, guys. How you doing? It's me, Dave.
Oh, Dave from New York. Okay. You're calling yourself Angry tonight, or is this what the board op wrote about you?
The what?
They put in Angry as your name on the call screening software. Did you actually tell the call screener that your name was Angry tonight?
Yes.
Okay. What are you upset about?
Okay, one of
always something with this guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, my ex-best friend in Boston. He decided we don't talk on Zello. It's a walkie-talkie app. Me, Nickel Hood, TJ, and a bunch of other people. Whatever.
Yeah, we don't know who they are.
Yeah,
the whole gang.
There's this guy named Mook H who I freaking hate, and Ticklewood decided to give this guy a star. Now, me and Ticklewood have been friends for like many, many, many years, and this guy Mook H is a creep. He's a stalker. I don't like him. Everybody knows.
Have you told him that to his face?
I don't know who. Oh my God, I've never met this creepy stalker.
Well, but I think you should say that to his face.
Luke H is across. He's out in the West somewhere.
You're referencing one of his videos, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for listeners who don't know, and Laurel also, you've probably never heard this person before.
No.
This is Dave in New York.
Why did you delete your YouTube channel, Dave?
I didn't. I have other channels. Anyway.
Well, wait. What's the current channel that you're uploading to?
point is, I don't.
Wait a
like
minute.
Luke
You
Cage.
can't just come on here and be a YouTube celebrity and not
Man,
tell us where.
I dressed up as you for Halloween one year.
That's right.
And I can't even show people to explain the costume that I have pictures of.
Because the video's down.
Yeah.
You should have saved it first.
Because I kind of look a little bit like you, Dave, especially when I put on the Angry Birds hat and the sunglasses, and I shaved my beard to look similar facial hair, and it was I thought it was a pretty good costume.
It was dead on.
It was dead on.
Yeah.
Okay, there. What is the name of the hot chick you have on here tonight?
The hot chick. Well,
you mean Ian?
I presume.
Accurate.
Presume you're talking about Laurel, who also is a YouTuber. Now, Laurel gave us her YouTube channel.
I did.
Which is /Laurel's channel on YouTube. You don't even have to use the C. I tried taking the C
really?
out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you just
can
put in
get it
Laurel's
either
channel.
way.
Okay.
/Laurel's channel. So what is your current YouTube? Because for years, you've been calling into this show about something or another that you're angry about. You're perennially angry. And years ago, we learned that you had your own YouTube channel. It used to be called Hudson Valley Guy and then the number 1. And at some point, you got a hair up your butt and you deleted all the videos on the channel. And then you started posting videos to the channel again. And then at some point, you deleted them again. So, like, you have this sort of back and forth with...
Sounds like me with Facebook.
Like committing to and then not committing to and abandoning your channel. So now you're going to get on here and tease us and claim you've got a channel, but you won't say where? Where is it at? What's the channel name?
It's not really like a channel. It's a bunch of letters and numbers. I can't really figure out how to.
Oh, is that so? What do we search for to find what's your most popular video?
I don't have a popular video. Just search media, like. Anyway, point being is that I don't like Mook H. Everybody knows.
Okay, hold
I don't
on.
like
Look,
Mook H.
nobody. Wait. Why do you care so much about this Mook guy on the internet?
Because Ticklewood, my ex-best friend, he decided to give this mofo a star in a channel called We're Not Cops on Zello.
A star. Is that something special? I mean, what does the star mean on Zello? This is a two-way audio transmission app, right?
Yeah, he made him a moderator, like a star, like a double star moderator.
So your ex-best friend made somebody you don't like on the internet a moderator of a channel that you hang out in.
I want to hear a rant about this on Hudson Valley Guy 1 on YouTube.
The channel name is called We're Not Cops on Zello.
Yeah, you mentioned that. But that's what you're upset about. You're upset because your ex-best friend. Now, how did he become your ex-best friend?
I've known him for many, many, many years, and this guy Mook H, he is a creeper, a stalker. I don't like him.
You sure you're not projecting?
I just don't like him, and his voice is.
Okay. Oh no, that's a legitimate. That's a legitimate reason, right? Like if you're on an audio app and somebody's got a really shrill, uncomfortable voice to listen to, that's a reason to to not like being in a channel with that person. But why do you continue to hang out there if it's so upsetting to you?
Because everybody knows I don't like Mook H. Shane, Jared,
we don't
Tristan,
need the chat room.
Jeff, Fred, Billy, they all know.
We don't need the whole laundry list of who's in the chat room. But you didn't answer my question. I asked you if there's a person in a chat room who you don't like, and now that person has been given moderator capabilities over that chat room, because it was one thing when they were just the same level as you. Now they could technically kick you out or mute you or whatever it is that a moderator can do in one of these chat rooms. Why do you continue to stick around if you hate him so much?
I don't, because I'm trying to tell I'm trying to tell Dankula to delete, to get rid of Mook H. I also don't like Chuck. Chuck is a local freaking idiot. And
you should just tell Chuck and Mook H to stop leeching off the channel. Tell them that they're being pedos and to get out of here.
Okay, so I feel like I have to keep explaining your in-jokes here because a lot of listeners.
Nobody can go find the YouTube videos anymore.
Well, right,
so.
A lot of listeners weren't around back when Dave first called the show. This is some of his original video content where he would get upset because when he's been going in these channels for years. Just to let you know, Laurel, back when he first called this program,
and are they like this call?
Yes.
Like I hate this person because of this.
There was some of that.
Have you actually been in one of these channels?
Okay,
No.
We all get the idea.
Tell them to get a job. I mean, that's really what you should do, is just tell them to get off the channel and to go get a job.
So Dave has been historically just perennially upset because he goes into these channels. This was actually originally what he called about a long time ago, was him getting made fun of on these various different chat groups that he's a part of. And my question to him then, as it is now, is if you are uncomfortable in a place, if you don't like the people in a place, why do you continue to go and be made fun of? He got called those names that you were talking about, and then he made videos where he kept repeating over and over again, because Dave likes to repeat himself, those things that people said about him. There's more coming up.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Hello. I am looking for a special soul from the GCN audience to hire to come to East Ridge, Tennessee and take care of two peaceful, easygoing people, which are a sweet 95-year-old woman and her 60-year-old son. Terms would be free room and board, plus the use of all of our facilities here at home, in exchange for living with us and seeing to our needs. We must have someone that fits in well. We get along with most anybody and value those who like to do the same. We live in a suburb of the scenic city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Please email Matt at peaceaboveall.net for additional information. Please include your informal resume stating your strengths and weaknesses and reasons you would make a dedicated caregiver. We would also offer to negotiate a nominal salary in addition to everything else. Again, please email matt@peaceaboveall.net. Thanks for responding.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. But if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you can still use the phones. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
I'm Laurel.
Laurel, you are being introduced here to Dave in New York. He is from the Poughkeepsie area calling in tonight. He's mad about something that happened to him on the internet and something that has continued happening to him. Dave, when did you start calling this show? Was it like 2012 or 2010 or something like that? Do you remember?
I don't like Mook H, okay? I don't know why Ticklewood will not get rid of Mook H, because I have told everybody, Shane, Jared, TJ,
Hey, hold on there, buddy. Listen, I told you we don't need to have the whole laundry list of names. Now, I know you love to repeat
have you
yourself.
told Mook H? That's the only one that's important out of that entire list. Have you told Craig? Have you told Mook H?
I have never met him. He lives on the other side.
Wait, what do you want me to tell him?
You have to meet him.
Don't like
you
him?
have to go meet him and tell him to his face.
I am not going.
Where does he live?
Wait. He lives on the West Coast.
Oh, okay. That's a long
well, you
way.
got to go out there to the West Coast. You need to set up a table and chair
Greyhound
match.
ticket. I mean, could you even buy a Greyhound ticket, Dave? Do you have enough welfare money?
If I ever met this motherfucker,
you can't say that on the radio. You should know better than that. You did all right earlier. He said MFer earlier. He was doing all right. That's too bad, because I really wanted to get into a little bit more about that with Dave and like why it is that he just continues to subject himself to this. He must like it, right? Like there must be something about this online conflict that draws him in. He loves to have people hate him, I think.
That's why I suggested he go out to the West Coast and set up a table and chair match, because clearly he's playing the villain in his own little WWE saga.
He does seem to be a wrestling fan. Yeah. A lot of his videos, and you did find somebody that archived at least one of his videos.
Yeah,
what did you
passed
search
that
for?
onto our chat. I am not a leech.
I'm not a leech on YouTube. So if you want to see a classic,
and it's from the channel Man-Child Adventures.
That's right. They got a few of his videos, I think.
Well, what does he do for a living? Do you know? Nothing.
He has been looking for a job.
Leech. He is not a fellow.
He appears to be
able-bodied.
employed.
He is definitely able-bodied. However, he lives in some kind of welfare house, and I presume receives welfare because he doesn't work. So unless he has gotten a job recently. I know every now and then he'll call in to say he's gotten a job, but he usually is looking for a job. And usually when he gets a job, he doesn't keep it very long because, well, Dave's pretty crazy. So it's hard to deal with a person who's always having interpersonal conflicts. As you might imagine, if he has conflicts with people on the internet, he probably has them with people at the office or wherever it is that he might be able to find a job. I'm just guessing on that one, knowing what I know about Dave from the years of him calling this show. He doesn't call very often these days. It's maybe like 2 or 3 times a year. But there was a time when we would hear from Dave at least on a weekly basis, if not maybe for a short time daily. And it's always something he's mad about, some sort of interaction he's had with somebody where he's unhappy. He's just one of the most perennially angry people that has ever called this show. And it's sad for Dave, but it's entertaining as hell for the rest of us.
So you do like a discussion like this afterwards where you talk about him like this and then he still calls back?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know when he'll call back, but he will definitely call back because so if you were to watch...
Doesn't he get mad at you for saying these things?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
It really doesn't matter. But if you'd watch some of his original videos, he's got a thing for calling radio as well. So on his original channel, Hudson Valley Guy 1 on YouTube, which we found years ago when he first called the show, he had videos of him calling, just videos of audio, basically, of him calling like the local rock radio station and requesting a song or something like that. He's just always been kind of like a radio caller guy. And so he calls our show. He's actually called Chris Cantwell's show as well.
How did that go?
Well, much more abusive because Chris won't, Chris is very abusive to his callers, and that's sort of part and parcel of, what happens when you call the Chris Cantwell Show, especially if you're Dave in New York. So Chris just rips him up one end from the other, and Dave just continues to call back.
Huh, okay.
So he appears to like the abuse while at the same time complaining about it.
It gives him something to complain about later on.
Yes. So
which is what he wants.
That's Dave in New York. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Mike calling from Wisconsin. You're on Free Talk Live, watching us on twitch.lrn.fm. Go ahead.
I'm actually just listening over the phone line.
All right.
I did put in kind of a fake prank call last Tuesday because Johnson was on the air.
Oh, hey.
Actually wanted to call about something serious.
Well, welcome back.
And thank you. And I just kind of wanted to pose this out there because this is something that I've kind of had, just ruminations on. I know that, Ian and the bulk of the participants on the show will probably identify themselves as, voluntarists.
I don't know if
anarchists.
I don't know how Laurel would identify herself.
I'm still working on that, actually, because it seems to be in transition.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. And so, on a certain level, like, free people should have no boundaries. Like, I absolutely agree, right? We should be able to traverse the earth as we see fit, so long as we don't.
That would be the ideal in an ideal world. I would love it if that was practical, but I think there are some practical issues with that.
Yeah, and I can kind of see that, and I'm kind of posing this question to kind of help, stick a jump button on my further understanding of the philosophy. In a petri dish, I'm kind of with you,
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when after how many dozens of decades of disastrous foreign policy and the not necessarily the hatred of the entire world, but there are large segments of populations across the planet that do not think highly of the people that reside within these borders,
mm-hmm.
and or the government, and so on one level, it's like I don't necessarily blame Donald Trump for wanting to build a wall. However, I'm kind of caught between the two because we've pissed off so many people that if the border is as porous as the mainstream media would like us to think it is, which it may be, may not be.
It is.
Then like, how do we like we're stuck living here, and the
no, if you have enough money, you can leave.
Well, I for one do not.
Yeah,
I for one do not.
You can buy a pass out of the country if you have enough money. So, I mean, are you saying that? Let me see if I'm understanding what you're saying so far. So you're saying that
sure.
U.S. foreign policy invading and destroying innocent lives around the globe is setting people off. They're making them mad about the United States government, maybe mad about the people in the United States, and so therefore there needs to be some sort of, in your mind, there ought to be some sort of restrictions at the border? No. Okay.
No, not necessarily in my mind that I think that. However, I mean, terrorism is a tool of the desperate.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they.
It's also the tool of the government.
They make it. Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And we also know there are false flag events and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're also for people that can't afford to buy citizenship to another country. And I mean, I live in Wisconsin. Like, I don't fear Canadians all that much. And chances are, coming across the southern border, those people might have a lot more to fear in terms of these, nefarious actors.
There's not really any evidence for it.
The border.
There's not really any evidence for it.
No evidence for what?
Well, the fact is, I think it was the American Conservative magazine did a long piece about immigrants and statistics, and looked and saw that they're less likely to actually commit violence than even native-born people.
Well, legal immigrants have a very low crime rate.
Even illegal ones.
It's higher than most Americans.
If you exempt the crime of crossing the border without asking for permission,
right.
if you're only looking at actual violent crime,
right.
then it's actually lower than native-borns, even among people who are so-called illegal.
There are places in the United States that have extremely high violent crime rates. If you
Chicago or Baltimore.
If you and it's actually only about, I think, 2% of the neighborhoods. When you remove those 2% of the neighborhoods out, then you get a different number for the crime rate for the rest of the United States, and that is lower than for illegal aliens.
That would.
Well, so, and my question is do we just take the complete laissez-faire attitude of just like, what's going to happen is going to happen, or should there be some measure of support for those that are kind of stuck, within, these kind of porous borders?
So when you say support, what do you? I want to find out more about what you mean. Hang on, Mike, because I'm still not real sure of what the question is or what it is that you're trying to say. So we'll continue because it sounds like it's a good conversation. I'm just not really sure where anybody is at in it yet. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And Laurel's an immigration attorney, so she knows a thing or two about the topic. More coming up.
#1 international best-selling author Matthew David Hurtado's pain was simple. Lyme disease bankrupted him in 2009, watching bankers take everything from his family after building a 7-figure business from his couch. God called him to ministry to teach prosperity based on pain he could not tolerate in others' lives. IRS, creditors, car loans, debt. It's the Babylonian system, and you have to escape it before it's too late. Haven't you ever wanted to wake up from this nightmare? Matthew David's free quick study guide shows you what to do today to build lasting wealth in any economy. His discovery he made? It's all consciousness. Get Matthew's 7-figure quick study guide for clarity, certainty, and a proven strategy to build wealth once and for all. Visit escaperightnow.com. Do it now. It's free. escaperightnow.com for a prosperous future ahead with peace of mind. escaperightnow.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your Liberty Beat for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. Gold opened at $1,315, silver opened at $15.84, and Bitcoin is trading around $3,427. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, bolstering the already overwhelming case for cutting off U.S. military support for Saudi Arabia's years-long assault on Yemen, a bombshell CNN investigation published late Monday found that the Saudis have sold or freely passed on American weapons to al-Qaeda fighters and other militia groups that have helped create the world's worst humanitarian crisis. According to CNN, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have, for years, been transferring American-made weapons to al-Qaeda-linked fighters and other factions waging war in Yemen as a form of currency to buy the loyalties of militias or tribes, bolster chosen armed actors, and influence the complex political landscape. Citing analysts and local commanders on the ground in Yemen, where an estimated 14 million people are on the brink of famine due to the U.S.-backed Saudi assault, CNN reported that terror groups have gained from the influx of U.S. arms, with the barrier of entry to advanced weaponry now lowered by the laws of supply and demand. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybraybotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% at checkout by using promo code SNLS. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. Find the Liberty Beat online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Not content with real-time crime centers forcing businesses to spy on customers in real time, Homeland Security has now decided to use RTCCs to spy on motorists in real time. That comes in the form of a report from ActivistPost.com. Last month, an article in the Baton Rouge Proud revealed that the Baton Rouge Police Department's RTCC will be using red light cameras to spy on motorists. The article states that Baton Rouge Chief Administrative Officer Daryl Kissel said the verbiage of the new contract with Vera Mobility, the traffic camera company, allows BRPD to access those live camera feeds. Vera Mobility's slogan is a new kind of smart mobility company focused on safe cities, smart roadways, and the connected systems that tie them seamlessly together. Roughly translated, Vera Mobility is using their smart city surveillance cameras to help police spy on everyone. As the United States-backed coup attempt in Venezuela continues to take shape, shady anonymous actors are waging an information war, manipulating social media with automated posts in an apparent attempt to manufacture a faux consensus for regime change in the online theater. Mint Press News reports that Juan Guaido, who had a mere 90,000 followers on Twitter around the time of the coup attempt 1 year prior, and 34,000 around January 23, 2019, has since skyrocketed on the platform, currently enjoying a following of more than 1,100,000. While the phenomenon has not yet been linked to manipulation by the opposition, it raises questions about the online influencers who have tried to turn the previously little-known figure into a household name the world over. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details on how to raise your business's profile in partnership with the Liberty Beat. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat on this Tuesday, February 5th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
To help you understand how dangerous narcotics operations have persisted despite decades of bold efforts to completely mishandle the problem, we now present The Onion Explains, the drug trade. The cartels remain as powerful as ever. Experts say that the only solution is to eliminate the demand for illegal drugs by instead getting buzzed on common household products, like cough syrup. Not only do items such as nail polish remover and model glue get you ripped if you really breathe that in, they also help shrink the market for cartel drugs. Cartels would stand to lose billions if even a third of the people using their cocaine or methamphetamine instead huffed Freon, which will knock you right on your ass just as quickly. It's easy to get by cracking open an air conditioner. If enough people realize that keyboard cleaner will put you in a insane trance and that it's just sitting there right now in your desk drawer, the costly war on drugs could very well end tomorrow.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free, bring up what you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at Discord.com. .lrn.fm. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
I'm Laurel.
And we're going to continue here on the way. Johnson, you've got a story that we've been trying to share for a couple weeks now. We just haven't had a chance. Hopefully we'll get to it over at Reason.com. Why do so many modern jobs seem pointless? But we take your calls and thoughts first here. Mike is on the line in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, Mike, you said you're listening over your phone tonight. Wanted to have you explain a little bit more about what your purpose of calling, what point you're trying to drive at, or the question that you're trying to ask. It has to do with immigration. It has to do with freedom to travel. But the fear, I've heard some, sort of the fear of the United States government creating terrorism out in the world, and basically making terrorists who hadn't been terrorists previously by killing their family members, for instance, in bombing raids against
It sounds
innocents.
like you're saying it's our fault that people are killing us. That it's the United States' fault.
Yeah, it's the U.S. government's fault.
To some extent.
Yeah, it's called blowback.
Not our fault.
Ron Paul wrote a book about it. Yeah, so the idea is, obviously it's the fault of the killer who sets a bomb off, right? Like if there's a suicide bomber, they're the ones doing that killing, but they wouldn't have done the killing had their own family likely not been eradicated from, the planet by a bombing raid by the United States federal government. In the same way that if the way you can get Americans to admit this is to ask, well, if the Red Chinese started bombing your neighborhoods, would you want to go over potentially, let's say your whole family got eliminated by a Chinese bombing raid? Would that potentially make somebody from the United States want to go over to China and bomb some targets over there? And most of them would say, yeah, that would make them want to do that. So violence begets violence, and that's just sort of the history of the world.
That is the history of the world, and it goes back and forth, and so
and
quite
it takes
often,
one person to break the cycle. You gotta stop it at some point. You have to accept whatever it is that's happened, forgive the person who did it to you, and move on with your life. Because if you just turn it right back around against them, it's going to come back against you, and then it keeps going until you're dead.
I agree with you there that we should stop doing things that would not be. We should stop doing things that are morally wrong. And
you mean the government, right?
Yes, correct.
Presumably, you and I aren't doing things morally wrong.
Well, I am, but
that's your problem.
But we are talking about doing things in other countries. So you are correct. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
However, until that has an effect, we do have to be careful about terrorists coming into the United States.
No, you don't.
I don't think. Oh, we don't?
No, you don't. Because if at least if you're in a place like New Hampshire where you can own guns and you can own weapons to defend yourself and your loved ones and your neighbors, then no, you don't have a problem with terrorism, because any sort of incident is going to get stopped real fast. If somebody tries something, we don't need
somebody carries a backpack onto a bus and leaves it under a seat, and you're packing a gun, and that bomb goes off.
Well, there's nothing you can do in that case. But in a lot of cases, you're going to be able to do something about it. And the fact is, somebody can put a backpack bomb on a bus anywhere, anytime, and there's no way that, I'm sorry, I don't want to have a TSA at every single bus station.
Neither do I.
I don't want to have a TSA at every single parking lot. I don't want to have a, border patrol at every, main intersection or whatever. I don't want to have checkpoints as I go to work. I'm not interested in those things. And that means that you're taking risk, right? Because if you don't have a bunch of men with guns around.
If we didn't have the government enforced nonsense with the security, we would probably have some kind of real security, because people would be able to choose between, like, let's say there was a bus line that had a scanner and bus lines that didn't. You would be able to opt, with the bus line that, for example, maybe allowed open carry, but also had scanners to
because we have so many choices of buses out here in New Hampshire.
Well, no, I suspect that if there were going to be such a choice, it would only happen in the market after bombings started, right? Like if there's no bombings, then why is a bus line going to install security, right? But if there are bombings, then all of a sudden, like remember
the TSA? Would you think the TSA just happened out of nowhere?
Do you remember the Washington D.C. shooters from like a decade ago?
Yeah.
The two guys that were
in the trunk of the car,
right? So they were shooting people from a long distance with a rifle, and so nobody knew where the shots were coming from. They were shooting people at gas stations, right? And so we were actually on the air during this thing happening, and we were covering it and talking about it. And what was interesting was how the marketplace came up with security that was actually effective, right? Because gas stations would like to stay in business, and if their customers are getting shot while they're pumping their gas, then that's going to mean those customers are likely to not come there because they're going to go outside of the area or something because they're worried about getting shot. But the gas stations, I remember one of them had like these drapes, almost like bulletproof drapes that they ended up installing over the kind of the gas pump area to where you can pull your car in and you could pump, and whoever it was that might be looking to shoot at you wouldn't be able to see where you were at the pump. So the marketplace came up with a protective method. In the case of buses, they would come up with whatever they needed to keep their customers safe. The gas stations came up with what they needed to keep their customers safe. And the ones that didn't lost business to the ones that did. So I don't believe, as far as security is concerned, I don't believe in the government providing security, because it's always going to be one size fits all. It's going to be garbage like the TSA. It's going to cost way too much money, and it's not going to be effective. So why not just let the market do it?
Well, for the visas, I mean, we can argue about the TSA because I do agree that they're not as effective as they should be, but and a lot of it is security theater.
Yeah.
But a lot of potential terrorists are caught when they're applying for visas and they're denied visas to get into the country in the first place, and they pay an application fee to have that review, so it doesn't cost the taxpayer anything. Are you saying we should get rid of that layer of security?
I think the whole government should go away. I mean, I think the whole federal government is useless and evil, and it hurts peaceful people. And what about all the people coming from other countries who can't afford the application fees, who literally work for months and months, if not years of their lives, just to get the application fee scraped together so they can then have it rejected?
Right.
Not because they're a terrorist, but just because they got it rejected for whatever reason.
And this is really one of those cases, too, where the government comes along, breaks your legs, and says, we can really help you with that.
Yeah.
You know,
now
it's the
you
same
need
thing.
us.
The whole reason why we need...
The government, I'm sorry, we're talking about visas.
Yes, okay. So
why
the
are we
whole
not
reason
talking
why
about
we
breaking
would need
legs?
this visa review in the first place is because we've been bombing the Middle East since the 1960s.
That's not the only reason we need the visa
That's
review.
one big reason.
There weren't even passports before World War II.
Yeah. The reason why people want to come and kill Americans is because we've been killing their families for over 50 years.
But the terrorism isn't the only reason why we need to be controlling the borders.
I think it's the reason that most people would cite about the borders.
I don't think that it is.
Besides drug gang violence, which is also, again, the government breaking people's legs and then coming in to say that they can fix the problem.
Right, that's drug prohibition leads to gang violence. So what's the other issue that is, what's the fear-mongering, the other issue that people need to be afraid of with the border?
Well, I wouldn't call it fear-mongering. It's just the fact that there would just be too many people coming into the United States. The population would increase too quickly.
Because of
According
welfare,
to the Gallup
another government
poll.
problem where they break your legs and then tell you they can fix it?
Okay, they're not breaking anybody's legs. So it's the Gallup poll said that there was a study done around the world of if people could move to the United States, would they? And 158 million people said that they would come to the United States.
We got plenty of room.
We don't have the infrastructure for that many people.
That gets built when people show up.
Yeah.
Overnight?
It won't be overnight.
No, it won't be overnight.
Right.
It would take a long time. We haven't built the infrastructure for the people that we have
had
now.
lots more people to build infrastructure as they came in and they get a job building infrastructure.
The market's an amazing thing. Like you either believe in the market and freedom or you don't, and you think that there needs to be control and some bureaucracy to tell everybody what to do. And it sounds like you believe in the latter.
For infrastructure, for things like bridges and dams and levees, it's going to have to be the government. I don't think it's practical.
Is it the government that builds
the
the bridges?
No, it's not.
It's private companies
that
build bridges.
Contractors.
But they have to get the taxpayer money.
No, they don't.
They're not.
If somebody wants to get somewhere, then somebody will figure out a way to get there. Maybe it'll be the companies on one side of the road versus the other ones. The companies want to have the bridge built so they can get customers over to where it is that they are.
There's a lot of places where bridges are not cost effective.
Mm-hmm. Then maybe they shouldn't be built.
Then you just wouldn't have people living out there.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be more of a problem.
Why should we subsidize? Sorry. Why should we subsidize a bunch of rich people to live out in the middle of nowhere by paying for their bridges for them? Why shouldn't they have to pay for their own bridge? We got more coming up here. Mike, I'm sorry we've been dominating the conversation. We'll try to bring you back in here in a moment. Stand by if you want. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. There's nothing the government does today that couldn't be done more effectively by open competition in a free marketplace, in my opinion. There's more on the way, though. You can take control and bring up what you want here on Free Talk Live.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dinovite is
nutrition. The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dinovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash is building a foundation that can support daily transactions for people everywhere. One feature that sets Smart Cash apart is the Smart Hive governance model and how the community can vote to fund the best projects with block rewards stored in the Smart Hive project treasury. Unlike other cryptocurrencies with voting systems, Smart Cash allows everyone to participate. One smart equals one vote. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. When things are getting heated here in the studio, Ian and Johnson, on the side of immigration freedom, the side of we don't need the government to build bridges, basically the voluntarist viewpoint. And then, Laurel, you're kind of taking, I don't know, a small government view?
Yes.
Okay. So you think the government ought to do border patrol, checking visas and things like that, and building bridges and what, police, courts, that kind of thing? Is that kind of your gig?
Yeah, the government should keep us safe as much as possible.
Which they have no obligation to do.
Which they have an obligation to do.
No obligation.
No obligation.
Correct.
I think that's one of the main purposes. Well, my son says that the purpose...
The Supreme Court disagrees with you.
My son says that the purpose of government is to fund the military. That's the reason government exists. But anyway, I think, in my opinion, that the government should do as little as possible, but I do think that we need it, and infrastructure is one of the things that I think we need it for.
Those things go hand in hand, that infrastructure and that military thing, because most people think that you have an obligation as a citizen to pay for those things to get built, right? Like the services, the infrastructure, those things, in order to have the government protect you. But the Supreme Court has stated that the government has neither the obligation to build those things nor the obligation to protect you. The government just exists to take your money. That's all they do, and that's the only thing that they're obligated to do, is to steal from you.
Well, they will do a bridge, to show that they're you need to give them money. They're useful.
But they don't have to do that.
Right. They don't have to protect you if you're being attacked or murdered or whatever. The police don't show up. You can't sue them. There's no obligation for them to protect you. You're familiar with those Supreme Court decisions, right?
No, actually I'm not. No, I got a C in law, constitutional law.
Check out Google the terms "no obligation to protect," and you'll come up with Warren versus District of Columbia and multiple other cases. It's not just one case. It's been done on a multitude of occasions at various different levels, including the Supreme Court, where they've basically have ruled very crystal clear that we have no obligation to protect you at all. The only time the government has an obligation to protect you is when you are its ward. So that's the one exemption.
If you're in prison?
If you're in prison, right? So if you are in their facility, they then have an obligation purportedly.
And nobody ever dies in prison because of neglect or mistreatment. They do such a great job.
Let's go back to Mike in Wisconsin. So, Mike, you've heard kind of two different sides here on this issue. Right. Are you finding yourself more aligning with Laurel, with this central state that purportedly is going to be small, but states don't tend to stay small in our experience, or the other side of let's let the market take care of it, just sort of this generic answer that us libertarians tend to use is, let the market take care of it. What do you think, Mike?
I'm starting to become more convinced that we should just relocate all the prisons to make the border wall.
Wait, you mean build it with prison labor?
No, just build it with prison.
No, just have it be a long prison.
Just have a whole prison along the entire border.
I love it.
Yikes.
Because then they'll something, because they're otherwise then
then the prisons would be able to get their drugs a lot easier.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's not like they're having a difficult time as is getting their drugs.
Yeah.
But I call this in as a basic thought experiment because I do tend to side with you and Johnson on this issue, but I also know that like when you look at Europe, like we've turned Syria into a crater, and look at the results of what they're having to deal with over in Europe with the refugee crisis and just the spike in violent crime, and I've caught myself kind of looking at both, going like, I mean, obviously the bulk of the crime.
Oh wait, you mean Europe, where you're not allowed to defend yourself? That place can't have a gun
too. Absolutely, absolutely. They're like, these are all important things to discuss. But it's just it's like, after I read about this spike in violent crime now, and again, granted, like if we wanted to end a lot of the southern border violence, we would just end the war on drugs. Period. Done. And most of it would be gone, and then we'd have
overnight.
Then we could focus on and then we could focus on more important things, which would be like malicious actors trying to permeate over the border. But right now, it's all such a nasty conflagration of both of them that you can't quite tell. And I call this in as kind of a thought experiment, just to get you all talking and get just to kind of hear people's thoughts on it. And
well, you called on the right night.
I also think that if there are a massive influx of people, that you can't be sure that they're all going to be libertarians, and they're more likely to vote against you. And I think that's something that should be considered.
Well, and that's like when the whole caravan was kind of marching through Central America. This is kind of one of the thoughts that came through my head. Is on one level, I'm just kind of like, well, if we just ended the drug war, everything, most of these, like if we stopped ruining and overthrowing governments in Central and South America, a lot of this wouldn't be our problem. But because we are the meddling nation that we are, it kind of becomes, to a certain extent, this government's problem. And how do you balance, effective blowback from the government's stupid decisions versus the lives of the people that are kind of unfortunately in the way.
Well, what you do is, in my opinion, you don't punish people here for the stupid decisions of the government, which is what the people who, support border controls and, internal checkpoints and searches and all these things that they supposedly need to do to protect us, when the reality is they're just taking away our freedoms by doing all of those things. So to me, the most moral approach, if you're going to have a government, and that's not a moral thing to do if it's a coercive agency of monopolistic force, the most moral thing to do is to withdraw the United States military from every military base that they currently occupy around the world. Agreed. And make some sort of statement like, hey, we screwed up, we're sorry, we're going to leave now, and we're going to keep our military back in the United States. We're no longer going to be bombing anybody around the world, so sorry about that. We're just going to stop now. And that's not going to necessarily end all the consequences immediately from what the government has already done in other people's lives, but at the very least, it will signal that things will change for the future, and that, I think, will reduce any chances. Because, by the way, despite all of the murders that the government in the United States has committed, the killings of innocents around the Middle East and elsewhere in the world, there's been a surprising lack of terror strikes in the U.S. Yeah, the FBI can find some kind of patsy every now and then that they basically manage to convince to commit a terrorist act, which they otherwise probably wouldn't have done on their own. But actual, real, legitimate terror attacks in the United States, there's surprisingly few of them, considering the amount of just carnage that the U.S. federal government has implemented around the globe. So I would say end the military occupation, go ahead and end the war on drugs while you're at it for good measure, and then you're basically going to solve two major problems with threats of violence and terror against Americans overnight.
I'm with you on those things.
Programs?
What about welfare?
Yeah. What
do you
about
mean?
The social safety nets?
Well, yeah,
because then if we don't end those things, then people are going to come here. There's going to be too many people.
No, I agree with you. Those things need to be ended too. But it seemed that the conversation was more about the terrorists coming here rather than the welfare recipients coming here, because there's two types of scary stories about people coming across the border. There's the dangerous killers, and then there's the people that just want to take welfare. We don't want any of them.
Don't forget the dirty and the disease.
Mike, good call tonight. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
That's the other one. Yeah, they're going to bring leprosy, or they're going to bring tuberculosis or whatever.
Which they do.
Yes, again, still not worried. Not an excuse to create a big government bureaucracy and infringe upon people's freedoms. Let the market handle it. We can continue here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Would you like to get back that full head of hair from years past? Now, there is Reveal. Beverly Hills celebrity dermatologist Dr. Nathan Newman took nearly a decade to develop Reveal from natural botanicals to return to a full-body head of hair. Reveal for men and women with a 30-day money-back guarantee at GCNlife.com or toll-free 844-443-6637. 844-443-6637. Reveal at GCNlife.com.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
I'm Laurel.
So we're going to continue with more of your calls and thoughts. Then coming up, jobs that suck. Why is it that according to Reason.com, they ask, why do so many modern jobs seem pointless? We got that story. Johnson's got it ready to go. But first, Sarah is on the line in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes, just in the month of January, our city, we issued out like 400 speeding tickets. 400, just in 1 month.
Wow.
See, speeding tickets obviously stop people from Oh, wait, no. Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, the thing is that, you know, our mayor, he's very hip. You know,
oh, yeah?
That when you do...
Did you say have a boombox? No, she said hip.
Oh.
Does he have tattoos?
Oh, he's got sideburns.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll give you that one. So is he a hipster?
No, he's very hip to the idea that the traffic stop, it reduces crime overall in general.
I don't think that's true. You mean because they're running warrant checks on people?
Well, you know, they have done a study in like Texas and other places. What they have done is that they do traffic stops, the burglaries and the robberies, it all goes down like by 60 to 90%.
That sounds unbelievable.
They should just stop everybody.
Well, isn't that what you want, Laurel?
No.
For immigration checks and such?
Only along the border, not everywhere.
Well, which is kind of funny because, you know, the traffic crime, the speeding, the traffic violation only goes by 5%. The traffic itself makes hardly any change. But the robberies, the burglaries, the home break-ins, and the auto theft, it goes down by 60%, which is...
Well, okay, but correlation isn't necessarily causation. So just because somebody's getting more speeding tickets or the government's giving out more speeding tickets and crime against properties go down, that doesn't necessarily mean that the speeding tickets have anything to do, or traffic stops have anything to do with crime going down.
You know what would be interesting? I've never looked for this. I wonder if there's a study on whether there's a correlation between traffic tickets and criminal activity. Do people who commit crimes, do they get more traffic tickets? I wonder.
That's a good question. Or are the people who are committing crimes more careful and get less and get fewer?
I don't know.
Traffic tickets. Thanks for the call tonight, Sarah. I appreciate it. Let's go to Gene, the Christian anarchist. He's calling from Tennessee on our Discord lines. Go ahead, Gene.
Hello, y'all.
Hey.
And I was going to call and talk about the 60s, but since Laurel decided that she supports the state in the way that she said, that the biggest concern being terrorism,
That's not my biggest concern.
Well, a big concern is terrorism.
Okay.
A major concern, and I wanted to pipe in on that.
All right, go ahead.
I have, for over 20 years now, I've been telling people there are no terrorists in this country. Because believe it or not, 20 years ago, they were saying the same darn thing. Oh, terrorism, terrorism, terrorism.
Yep.
And they were all concerned about terrorism. And I called the talk show 20 years ago.
Marty had to get the DeLorean up to 88 miles per hour before, the terrorists shot Doc in the van.
Well, 20 years ago, I mean, 9/11 was 18 years ago.
Yeah, almost 20
Didn't
years.
even happen yet. Hadn't even happened.
But it was.
But I called the talk show 20 years ago, and because they were talking about terrorism, I said, look, the biggest threat to freedom is not halfway across the planet. It's right there in Washington, D.C. I said, you want to worry about terrorism? There it is. But if there were terrorists in this country to any great number at all, now I'm not saying there's zero. There might be a couple here.
You mean
and there,
except for the government, right? You're talking about terrorists who aren't the government.
Right.
Okay.
Other than the terrorist government.
Right.
If there were any terrorists, most of them don't have the means. And any successful terrorism requires two things. It requires the means and it requires the desire. Now, a lot of people have zero means and a lot of desire. And some people have a lot of means, but they don't, the people that have the money.
All it takes is a car, and you run the car into a crowd, which has happened several times.
Right. Which is an argument that I use to show people that there aren't any terrorists here.
That's right.
Because if they were,
because the government's doing a good job of not getting them visas.
No, that's not it.
If terrorists were here in any numbers, you would hear of trucks running through crowds. You would hear of school buses exploding.
But Gene, what she just said was it's because the government is stopping them from coming here. Did you hear that?
Well, she can make that conclusion if she wants, but the borders are wide open.
The same person who said earlier in this show that the border is highly porous has also said that they're doing a great job stopping criminals who don't care about submitting visas.
I don't think that most of them are trying to come through Mexico, although some of them have been caught doing it that way.
Because they're too stupid?
If it's that easy, why not? Yeah, why would you sign up for a visa?
You can't have it both ways. I mean, there are no terrorists in this country because there are no attacks happening. Right. And the borders are porous, so therefore the government is not saving you.
Well, there was the Boston bombing. It's been a while, but there was that one.
It's been a while, and most of the time when the government says that they have saved us from some horrible terrorist attack that they managed to stop, usually it's some mentally challenged individuals who had zero means, but they were angry at everybody. So the government, the FBI comes in there and they work these guys up into a big old lather, and then they give them a truck with fake bombs in it, and they say, drive it over there and push this button, and then they rush in and rescue everybody from the fake bombs that the FBI provided.
Right. They rescue everyone from the terrorists they created.
Also, the Tsarnaev brothers didn't cross any. The Tsarnaev brothers from the Boston Marathon bombings didn't cross any borders because they were United States citizens.
Were they?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they were immigrants.
They were immigrants, but they immigrated as young children.
I see.
But your risk of ever being hurt by a terrorist is close to zero. Your risk to being hurt by the government is 100 times greater. In fact, I would say 10,000 times greater than being hurt by a terrorist.
I totally agree, which is why Laurel's solution of having the government, exist to control these things puts us all in greater danger, because they're the ones who are destroying freedom. They're the ones who are putting innocent people behind bars, and they're much more concerning.
I do agree that I do agree that there is a danger. I acknowledge this, that the government uses this security threat to infringe too far on people's rights, and I think that happened in the Bush administration and has been continuing on till today. So I do agree with you there.
The government does nothing well, and there was a call a few months back where an old lady had called in supporting her government, and Ian had me come on, and I put one question to her, and I said, tell me one program that the government does well, and she couldn't do it. And I asked that question to a lot of people.
I think the post office has done really well, and I know
losing money. Hand over fist, they're losing billions of dollars.
Are they? I thought they were
quasi-private.
All right, I'm going to have to check that one out.
No, they're not self-funded. They are partially self-funded. The government continues to shore up their retirement funds, for instance. That's one of the things that they do. And they have to go to the government every time they want to change their business model. So the Postal Service isn't as independent as they want you to believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want you to think they're like some private agency. But the reality is, if they want to stop delivering mail, say 2 days a week or 3 days a week or something like that, or they want to raise rates, or they want to do whatever it is they want to do to change how they do business, they pretty much have to go to Congress to get it approved first.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, if I send a letter someplace, it's really cheap for me to send it. It's cheaper than any of the courier services, and it gets there pretty quickly. The only time I'm going to have to use...
Spooner tried to compete with the post office, and they made it illegal for him to do so.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. They actually outlawed... It's still illegal to deliver mail for less than $1, so nobody could compete with them even if they wanted to. And again, they're losing... Go look it up. It's billions of dollars every single year. More coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Complement your health with hemp-derived cannabinoid oil. We've always believed that the closer to Earth, the better it is for our bodies. Our hemp-derived cannabinoid oil is phytocannabinoid-rich, full-spectrum, and organically grown. Finally, hemp made easy, clean, and effective. GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203. That's right, we cut through the red tape. It's now available at GCNhemp.com or call 877-878-4203.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
U.S. presidents often take credit for solving complex issues with many moving parts, whether they deserve that credit or not. But how much impact can a sitting president really have on the tides? We all know that presidents like to take credit for the undulations of the briny deep, when it suits them, that is, and we Americans are quick to blame whoever is in power for the multitudinous seas. During Eisenhower's administration in the 1950s, citizens took to the streets to protest his inability to harness the unruly waves, but Ike shifted blame for the tides that year onto a heron that had recently been born with a raven's head. But the truth is, when a president is in office, there's only so much he can do. Sure, the president can bring an amulet with the Eye of Horus to the top of the tallest peak, or spread lamb's blood on the base of an elm tree during a lunar eclipse. In reality, it's hard for anyone to know with true certainty how the tides will play out under any administration. For The Onion, I'm Eliza Hayes.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free to join us here if you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, Free Talk Live brought to you by Bitcoin.com, your premier source for everything Bitcoin-related. They can help you choose a Bitcoin wallet, buy Bitcoin, and show you where you can spend your Bitcoin. But more importantly, to my mind, for the newbie, is they've got the Bitcoin.com Academy, so you can actually learn about what is Bitcoin and why is it so important? Why is it so popular? Why is it the most important thing that has happened to money in multiple generations, multiple lifetimes? Go to Bitcoin.com and get started over there. If you're not new to Bitcoin, they've got useful features for you too, like the latest news headlines over at news.bitcoin.com. Or you can engage with the community on their Bitcoin forum. Go to Bitcoin.com. So we go back to, I thought we still had Gene, but I guess he was done. Gene the Christian Anarchist there in our Discord server. Hey, you want to talk to Gene? You can actually do that on your own time. You can go to our Discord server. He's frequently hanging out in there during the live show, sometimes before, sometimes after. So the Discord server allows you to interact with other Free Talk Live listeners, and it's free. So head over to discord.lrn.fm. You can do that. Let's talk to Vernon in New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian Johnson and Laurel.
I'll try to be a neutral party, and I'm really all about the facts. So in your previous segment, you were mentioning that the post office is sort of supported by federal funding.
Yes.
And I just wanted to clarify that from what I've read and what I understand, and I have no ties to the post office, and I agree with you that as far as it, being necessary for today's, using email and everything, it's not necessary, minus packages, but it's required to be funded. They have to fund their pension plans at least 10 years in advance, which really takes away from their ability to be profitable. If you actually look at the numbers, and if they weren't required to pre-fund their pension plan so far in advance, the post office is actually supposedly profitable. But and also I wanted to clarify that according, again, to what I've read, they don't receive a dime from the federal government. But yes, they do have to run all their stuff through the federal government, the Congress, just like any other federal entity does. But as far as being funded, like from a general fund or whatever, from what I understand, that's not true.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying they're funded from the general fund. What I was saying was they are using federal money to shore up their pension funds because they don't have enough money to do it.
I don't think they're doing that. I think they've only used the profits, like from selling stamps and from selling other things to pay all of that. They just have to pay so much of the profit up front to shore up that pension plan, which is really not shoring it up. It's simply making sure that it's funded at least 10 years in advance, which no other federal agency is required to do that. And so by them being required to do that, it always makes them look as though they're unprofitable, which I find interesting that the U.S. Congress would have then acted some sort of a law that requires the post office to pre-fund their pension plan so far in advance to kind of give it that look as though it's not profitable. I don't know. that make sense?
Well, the reality is, I mean, okay, let's take what you're saying and presume that it's true, that if it weren't for these mandates put on them by the government, that they would be profitable. The reality is mail volume, as far as actual first-class mail, has been going down year after year. So they've got a huge problem that's only going to continue getting worse over time.
But the package delivery business is skyrocketed, and I don't know if you've ever seen one of those little post office vans going around on a Sunday.
Yep.
I mean, I have never seen that until Amazon actually contracted with them to start doing, the final mile delivery.
Yep.
And I mean, I've even read articles where these postal employees are complaining that they have to work on a Sunday because, and the post office is making them because they're so worried about profitability. Because just like TVA, they don't get any sort of government funding, and if they don't get those profits, then they're not. From what I understand, I don't think they've ever gotten a bailout from the federal government. And so if they lose profitability, then of course they're going to have to cut employees and everything. I don't know if that's ever happened or not, but I really do think that even though letter volume is down, that because I don't know about you all, but I rely on the post office for the last mile delivery of most of my packages.
Can you imagine what would happen if they removed the laws that prohibited other shipping services from delivering to residential and business mailboxes?
What other laws? UPS and FedEx can deliver just as the same as USPS.
They cannot deliver to your mailbox. They cannot.
But they just go right up to your house. It's not a big deal.
Mailbox? What do you mean by your mailbox?
Like a mailbox. Like if you have a mailbox, they can't touch it.
But mostly you can't put packages in there anyway. They're too small.
Depends on
the
the
most
package.
Part. Yeah, but you're right. You can't put anything in there.
Notification for a package.
It's a federal crime, is what you're saying, to put something that's not mail from the Postal Service in a mailbox.
Right.
Yeah, but then you just deliver directly to the house. I don't think it's an issue.
It's a huge issue.
Why is it?
And that's why
issue?
they're coming up with services like Amazon Key and all that stuff. Because in cities, especially in urban areas, there is no front door place to put it without that package possibly or even probably getting stolen.
I read an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal just a couple of days ago that the post office is actually looking at allowing other companies to pay a fee to be able to put whatever they'd like in that mailbox.
Wow, how magnanimous of them.
I know, right? Go to Google News and look it up. It's very interesting. But in general, I mean, I know you all, the theme of the show a lot of the time is all government is evil, all government is bad.
Yeah, it's just force and violence.
It's because it's backed by violence. If it weren't backed by violence, if it weren't backed by aggression, then it wouldn't be a problem. And if you want to cut
the post office is not backed by violence. I agree with him.
Well, I don't know, man.
Dude, it's a law. Look up the PES laws. Just look up for Wikipedia PES laws. Any law is a threat at the barrel of a gun that if you do not comply, people who are armed will come and tell you what to do.
Right.
If you don't abide by what they tell you to do, they shoot you or they lock you in a cage. And if you refuse to be locked in the cage, they shoot you.
Even though they may not be mostly funded by violence, if what you're saying is true, Vernon, that they're not actually getting payments from the taxpayers for their pensions, which is maybe I swear I'd heard they were in the past, but maybe they're not anymore. I don't know. But even if that's true, there's still these laws that essentially enshrine the Postal Service as the monopoly dealer of certain delivery services. So again,
Absolutely.
It's illegal for you to create a competitor to the Postal Service. So therefore, they have a monopoly. It's not a disagreement. It's illegal for you to deliver mail that's under $1 in value.
I could go to. I don't know about that. I can't comment on that.
Well, you can research now.
I'm telling you, it's illegal. That's why they went after Lysander Spooner in the 1800s for that.
Why aren't there more services saying you can send a letter for $1?
Well, because why would you even want to bother with that?
Well, why do people use FedEx Ground?
Huh?
And they pay. Why do people use FedEx Ground to send mail? And it's like $15. Like, why does FedEx Ground exist? It takes 3 days.
FedEx Ground? You mean for packages?
To send a letter.
Very few people use FedEx to send a letter unless they need something delivered quickly, typically.
Well, then why does it exist?
Overnight, for instance.
Why would they even have it, which they do?
Why do they have a ground service?
FedEx, when
it's
you're
for
sending
packages,
a letter.
Mostly.
Right, but UPS and FedEx, you can send something and not overnight it. It'll take a couple of days.
That's true. Generally, that's a package service. Most people who are sending letters, if they need to get it somewhere soon, they're going to do it overnight, okay, or the next day or something like that.
Also, FedEx and UPS will act as couriers. So, like, for example, if you're delivering it to an office, FedEx and UPS will walk into that office, go up to a desk and hand it to someone and potentially get it signed for, whereas the post office just throws it in a box.
It's also insured as well. If you want it to be insured with UPS and FedEx, you don't insure first-class mail, for instance. That's just not an option. So it's a much more higher level. Like if you're gonna have legal papers signed, you don't want to just put that in an envelope and throw it in first-class mail.
I send it via priority mail. Which has a tracking information, and it costs about $7, and it's insured automatically for $50.
Now they finally have that after years of the UPS and FedEx having trackable insured mail. Priority Mail finally got it after like another 15 years later.
Now, I will say that if I absolutely have to get something in overnight, like if I have an appeal that has a very hard deadline, I have to FedEx it because USPS isn't reliable enough.
If you walk into USPS, they hire FedEx to do that work, from what I understand.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just a final thought. One of the other innovations that I think the post office is starting to come into the 21st century. I have this email that comes to me on a daily basis that shows me scanned images of everything that I'm expecting in the mail.
Creepy.
It's very nice, and it also is able to sync up to all my packages. I know this is like 1990s technology, but I think they're doing their absolute best in the confines of the regulation.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. They are doing their absolute best in the confines, and that means they're losing $3.9 billion. Thank you for the call tonight. In the last fiscal year, according to CNN Politics.
I wonder what Edward Snowden would say about that metadata the government is being handed by scanning every single letter.
Yep. More on the way here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. One benefit of the Postal Service is that they do ostensibly need a warrant to open your mail, unlike UPS and FedEx.
Not to scan the outside.
That's true. More coming up. This is Free Talk Live. Hour 3 is next.
Know someone with a drinking or drug problem? Learn how to get sober after we share these stories.
I was 35 with 2 beautiful children when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. After my divorce, I went into a depression cycle and started drinking more often and using prescription drugs. After my second DWI and arrest, my ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me.
I was 17 when I became addicted to heroin and meth. I thought I could quit on my own, but I couldn't. It hit me when I was arrested.
Get sober now. Your private insurance may cover costs and we'll get you here. It's simple. Just call Elite Rehab Placement right now. Please, don't wait. Your life matters to us. 800-213-9264. 800-213-9264. 800-213-9264. Call right now before it's too late. 800-213-9264.
There are basically 2 types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your Liberty Beat for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. Gold opened at $1,315. Silver opened at $15.84. and Bitcoin is trading around $3,427. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, bolstering the already overwhelming case for cutting off U.S. military support for Saudi Arabia's years-long assault on Yemen, a bombshell CNN investigation published late Monday found that the Saudis have sold or freely passed on American weapons to al-Qaeda fighters and other militia groups that have helped create the world's worst humanitarian crisis. According to CNN, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have, for years, been transferring American-made weapons to al-Qaeda-linked fighters and other factions waging war in Yemen as a form of currency to buy the loyalties of militias or tribes, bolster chosen armed actors, and influence the complex political landscape. Citing analysts and local commanders on the ground in Yemen, where an estimated 14 million people are on the brink of famine due to the U.S.-backed Saudi assault, CNN reported that terror groups have gained from the influx of U.S. arms, with the barrier of entry to advanced weaponry now lowered by the laws of supply and demand. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at myBraveBotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% at checkout by using promo code SNLS. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. Find the Liberty Beat online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Not content with real-time crime centers forcing businesses to spy on customers in real time, Homeland Security has now decided to use RTCCs to spy on motorists in real time. That comes in the form of a report from ActivistPost.com. Last month, an article in the Baton Rouge Proud revealed that the Baton Rouge Police Department's RTCC will be using red light cameras to spy on motorists. The article states that Baton Rouge Chief Administrative Officer Daryl Gissel said the verbiage of the new contract with Vera Mobility, the traffic camera company, allows BRPD to access those live camera feeds. Vera Mobility's slogan is a new kind of smart mobility company focused on safe cities, smart roadways, and the connected systems that tie them seamlessly together. Roughly translated, Vera Mobility is using their smart city surveillance cameras to help police spy on everyone. As the United States-backed coup attempt in Venezuela continues to take shape, shady anonymous actors are waging an information war, manipulating social media with automated posts in an apparent attempt to manufacture a faux consensus for regime change in the online theater. Mint Press News reports that Juan Guaido, who had a mere 90,000 followers on Twitter around the time of the coup attempt 1 year prior, and 34,000 around January 23, 2019, has since skyrocketed on the platform, currently enjoying a following of more than 1,100,000. While the phenomenon has not yet been linked to manipulation by the opposition, it raises questions about the online influencers who have tried to turn the previously little-known figure into a household name the world over. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details on how to raise your business's profile in partnership with the Liberty Beat. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat on this Tuesday, February 5th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
As a police officer, I constantly live in fear that I might be filmed brutalizing a civilian. It's something you know from the time you're a cadet. The slightest civil rights infraction in front of anyone who's looking, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded by cameras and trending on Twitter. No cop should have to worry about that. Practically every precinct I know has somebody serving desk duty just for acting on deeply rooted prejudices when somebody had a recording device on them. It happened to my partner, and it even happened to our own captain. One day he's just kicking an unarmed pedestrian in the ribs when all of a sudden people with cameras are everywhere, and then they just start shooting what he was doing, all 6 minutes of it. I can't help but think sometimes that could have been me ending up at that desk job. You never know which day of total impunity will be your last, but for a cop, that's just our daily reality.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. Toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. There's no doubt that the Postal Service is one of the least offensive government agencies because it is as disconnected from the government's funding sources as it can possibly be compared to most government agencies. Although that said, it's not entirely disconnected. And Johnson, you've got a story that you found you wanted to share. For those of you just tuning in, this is what we've been talking about. Ian Johnson and Laurel in the studio tonight. Phones are open for you if you want to join us here. And then if we get the chance, we'll talk about pointless jobs, because there is a point to the Postal Service. People are going to, in the absence of government monopoly, people are still going to want to send things through the mail, whatever that would look like in some sort of, market-based system where we actually have true competition in these areas. We already pointed out the fact that they have a protection racket in place, a law that actually prevents private company, FedEx or UPS or some company that you might start, from competing with the Postal Service for what's called first-class mail, basically. Anything that's under $1 is considered that. And, of course, that's you brought up a good point, Johnson, and that is that once the price of a stamp goes over $1, what's going to happen? Are they going to adjust the law to make it so first class is anything under $2 to keep the protection racket going? Or what? But that's not all. There's several, $18 billion per year worth of subsidies in various different ways they receive?
So, yeah, let me go into this article's a little old, but I think it covers some interesting
It's just a few years old. It's still true.
Yep. So it says here, the United States Postal Service's financial troubles have been well publicized in recent years. The worst of it came in 2012 when the USPS lost a whopping $15.9 billion, followed by $4.8 billion and then $5.3 billion in 2013 and 2014, respectively.
How do you do that without being subsidized?
Yeah. But
that's one of the things I want to know is, like, if you're running a business and you're losing billions of dollars every single year, your venture capitalists are going to dry up, right? Like, they're going to be like, yeah, you need to change how you're doing your business or we're not going to keep giving you money. But these guys just keep year after year. It's $15 billion here.
3.9 they lost in 2018, right? And 2.7 in 2017.
Right, according to CNN Politics,
So
fiscal year 2018, they lost $3.9 billion. So it's just like, that's not a business. Okay, by no means, in any way, shape, or form, is that a business.
Well, post office officials have often attributed the losses to the decline in demand for first-class mail in favor of more efficient modes of communication,
like email.
Yeah. And congressional mandates that the USPS do things like deliver mail on Saturdays, and to unprofitable parts of the country. In fact, the USPS claims that if it weren't for such requirements, it would more or less break even if we only didn't have to deliver the mail, so, like any other business would. So it says, Robert Shapiro, former Treasury Undersecretary and chairman of the economic consultancy Sonicon, points out in a new analysis, American taxpayers subsidize the USPS at a rate that surpasses the costs associated with any congressional mandate. He estimates that all told, the subsidies and legal monopolies that Congress bestows upon the post office is worth around $18 billion annually. This was in 2015. These include laws that bar any other shipping service from delivering mail and packages that directly to residential and business mailboxes. This is what I mentioned a little bit ago. Shapiro estimates that this gives the post office a $14 billion annual boost, more than 3 times what postal Regulatory Commission estimates it to be. Shapiro argues that the PRC's analysis doesn't take into account the productivity gains that the post office would be forced to make if it really had to compete for mailbox delivery. He points out that the productivity at USPS has only grown by 0.7% per year versus 2.5% for its competition. Tax breaks. The post office
This is a biggie.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. The post office is exempt from state and local property and real estate taxes. Huge.
Which is a tremendous cost, especially here in New Hampshire, where that is essentially how the state's funded, is through the property tax.
Oh, but let's not forget other burdens like tolls, vehicle registration fees, parking tickets. Those exemptions save the USPS $2.18 billion a year. So, I mean, imagine if, FedEx and, UPS had those.
Right. UPS drivers are paying tickets all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just part of, like in New York City, they're constantly breaking traffic laws because there's nowhere to park or whatever. So they're just leaving the truck running while they go in, and they're just occupying a lane of traffic or whatever it is they got to do, and then they come out
fuel for that entire time.
Burning fuel, and then also they get tickets all the time. It's just like, cost of doing business. It's just the way we got to do it because we can't drive around and find a parking spot.
Even more tickets in places that are making laws that you can't idle a vehicle.
Right.
So, this one's one probably people don't think of. Cheap borrowing. The United States Postal Service, writes Shapiro, can borrow from the U.S. Treasury through the Federal Financing Bank.
That explains
highly
it.
subsidized interest rates.
Yeah, so that explains it, because I'm thinking to myself here, when the guy called in and was saying, oh, well, the Postal Service isn't taxpayer funded, meaning that not only are they not funding their operations, but they're also not funding their or not shoring up their retirement scheme, which is what I thought was going on. So I'm like, well, okay, how
where's
do you
the money coming from?
Yeah, I mean, you can't just keep losing billions of dollars a year because you don't have that sitting in the bank. You're losing it. I mean, they don't have $100 million or $100 billion just sitting in the bank to just keep funding these losses. So what you're saying is they're getting loans from, was it the Federal Reserve?
Yeah. Federal Financing Bank.
Okay, it's probably some sort of...
How they can go on to say, how anyone can say that they're not using federal dollars is
clearly.
They're only operating on, their profits.
So they're taking loans.
No.
So
if they're losing money, then all the money that they're taking in loan is at the cost to the taxpayer.
Right. So every year they keep taking it, just keep adding it up, right? Because they're not paying it off. There hasn't been a year in the last 20 years or whatever.
Somewhere in the vicinity of like $45 billion.
The total amount of losses?
It's probably.
And if they're still operating at a loss every year, basically they're never going to pay the money back.
They'll never pay the loan back, which means that whenever it is this all comes to a head, whenever that is, because again, there's no restrictions probably on how much of these loans they can pull. Really,
it currently borrows the legal limit of $15.2 billion at a rate of 1.2%. Without this access, it would be paying somewhere between $415 million and $419 million per year more in interest.
If it didn't have the special deal, is what you're saying.
They were getting a commercial loan.
Yeah.
Finally, and who the hell would give them a loan?
Yeah.
This is a guarantee, right? Like they can just keep going back to the trough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could do that.
Like, why would any banker, give these people a loan? I mean, you're looking at their business numbers here. You're looking over the last 20 years, and you're like, okay, your revenue keeps dropping. Yeah, your packages are up, but you continue to drop as far as how much business you're doing overall, and you're losing money hand over fist. You're not going to get bailed out, presumably. So why would we take a risk? Why would we take a risk giving you haven't made a simple loan payment? This story here from CNN Politics says they just didn't pay the $6.9 billion in benefits prepayments in the last year. So they're supposed to be paying into
benefits,
the benefit fund.
There's another thing there that finally Shapiro points out that the USPS pays its workers' salaries and benefits far above rates paid to similar workers in the private sector. Labor accounted for 78% of the organization's costs in 2014, with about 89% of those costs involving employees represented by collective bargaining.
Unions.
These higher labor costs, plus the absence of a need to innovate due to government-granted monopolies, has freed the UPS from $20 billion in labor and productivity costs per year, Shapiro estimates. While we do not technically count this as a subsidy, he writes, it represents an economic burden on others arising directly from USPS's monopoly position. Postage, for instance, would likely be a lot cheaper for everyone if the organization were subject to the same competitive pressures as private firms.
Postal workers make very good salaries. They make $40,000 to $85,000 a year.
Sweet.
It's crazy, yeah.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. According to the Postal Service's own statement, they were, quote, unable to make the $6.9 billion in payments that were due to the federal government at the end of fiscal year 2018 to pre-fund pension and health benefits for postal retirees without putting its ability to fulfill its primary mission at undue risk. It just didn't make the payments. So what's going to happen? Someone's going to pay for it.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Bring up whatever you want. Our number 855-450. Free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. You can bring up anything you want here on Free Talk Live. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And I'm Johnson.
I'm Laurel.
We've been looking at the Postal Service and what the financial situation exactly is there. And Johnson, you'd answered a big question of mine that I had without even me having to ask it. You pointed out that they have special access to a special government bank. And I forget what the name of it. It wasn't the Federal Reserve. It was
Federal Financing Bank.
Yeah, so it's probably some bank that only does business with government agencies. That's what it sounds like, right? I doubt you can go in and open up an account at the Federal Financing Bank.
I want that $1 billion loan.
And they just keep on pumping money into the Postal Service.
This has been very illuminating because I used to think of the post office until tonight as
an efficient government agency.
example of the government agency that works. So now,
and to the post office's credit, the CEO right now, their Postmaster General Megan Brennan. This is the story from CNN Politics. She said that, quote, the flawed business model imposed by law continues to be the root cause of our financial instability. They can't change their business model without going to Congress. So if they felt as though having 3 days of delivery instead of 6 would benefit them because they could cut staff and costs and whatever and only deliver the mail every other day, then they can't just get the board of directors together and decide, let's do it. No, they've got to get the entire Congress, to propose legislation and debate and vote. And then, when's that going to happen? Has it happened recently? No. They've just been talking about it and talking about it. Brennan says, quote, we're seeking reforms that would allow the organization to reduce costs, grow revenue, compete more effectively, and function with greater flexibility to adapt to the marketplace and invest in our future. That all sounds great. Unfortunately, they have to wait until somebody bestows that upon them. They have to wait until Congress allows them to do it. So honestly, the best thing that could happen to the post office is for them to no longer be an actual government agency, to have no connection whatsoever. Let them either sink or swim in the real marketplace where they're not backed up by some elite bank that's just basically fleecing taxpayers.
That bank has 17 employees.
The federal bank thing?
The Federal Financing Bank was created by Congress in 1973 and has 17 employees.
Yeah.
You know what the funny thing, though, is that even though private industries are a lot more efficient than the government industries, they also have a lot of fat that they need to cut. In fact, a lot of the jobs that people have over even in private industry seem pointless, don't they, Johnson?
Good segue. In fact, that's the story that you brought in here tonight. And there's no doubt anybody who's worked for a big corporation knows this, right? You can see the waste in corporate America, but it's still, at least those corporations are subject to competition. And when a corporation fails, the only people who are on the hook for it are the investors. So it's their money that they lose, not you and I. We don't lose if Walmart goes out of business tomorrow. It'll be inconvenient because you might have to go to Target or somewhere else to get your toothpaste or something like that. But you yourself will not lose because you weren't an investor in that company, unless you were, in which case.
But the big question is, if the private companies are trying so hard to make a profit and they're motivated by the market forces, why do they have so many jobs there that seem pointless?
Well, I think that there's a book there that is attempting to answer this question, written by a David Graeber.
And you can't say the name of the
I can't say the name of the book, but it's also the name of a show that we've talked about.
You can say the name, you just can't say a certain word in it, right?
I'll just call it BS.
Yeah.
BS Jobs, a Theory. So this...
And this is like a summary piece or an excerpt?
Well, this is just an article about the same topic.
Okay. By the same guy?
Yeah, by the same guy.
Okay.
I think. No, it's not. It's not by the same guy. It's talking about some of the stuff that's in the book, but it's an article in Reason.com.
Oh, you're right. Roderick Long wrote the article, but he's referencing this book.
Correct.
By David Graeber.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says, during the last century, everyone from John Maynard Keynes to the Jetsons predicted that in the future, technological advances would drastically cut down the number of hours the average person would need to work to keep the economy going. Why didn't that happen? In BS Jobs, David Graeber, an anthropologist at the London School of Economics, suggests it did happen. Not that people are working fewer hours, but that fewer of those hours are actually needed. Graeber argues that much, perhaps most, of the waged labor in the world's industrialized nations consists of BS jobs, jobs that are so completely pointless, unnecessary, or pernicious that even the employee cannot justify their existence. These are not to be confused with S jobs, and there's another fun word, which are unpleasant and poorly paid, but often produce some obviously good, useful service. On the contrary, BS jobs may be well paid and fairly easy, yet people nevertheless tend to find them extremely demoralizing, as evidenced by testimonials Graeber has collected from workers around the world. Contrary to the widespread presumption that people seek maximum financial return for their minimum effort, Graeber finds that people will often quit a BS job for a lower paying and more labor-intensive one if the latter offers a greater scope for meaningful personal agency.
Which comes back around to what we talked about earlier in the show, where people work not just because they get a paycheck, but because there's meaning to what they do, because they're helping people, they're providing a service, they're providing a product, but not if it's a BS job, right?
If it's enough money, if you have a BS job you want to throw my way.
Right.
Well, this is part of the reason for the quote wage gap, is that women find it more important for them to have a meaningful job, and men find it more important to have a job that pays well.
I can find my meaning in other areas of my life if necessary. With enough money, you can find a whole lot of meaning. Anyway, many BS jobs exist only or primarily to make someone else look important, or to solve problems arising from a fault in the organization, or the damage done by a superior. Graeber points to polls in which 37 to 40% of respondents felt their jobs made no meaningful contribution to the world, and
that's tough.
Yeah, add the unneeded aspects of needed jobs, and Graeber estimates the total BS-itization of the...
This is a hard one to read, this article.
Of the job market at slightly over 50%.
Okay, I want to jump in with this. A lot of these jobs exist only or primarily to make someone else look important. So I experienced this phenomena as... as an attorney, I used to have in my firm, I had 2 or 3 attorneys working for me. I had a couple of paralegals, and I had a few other assistants and an accountant. So I had a fairly large number of people working for me. And I discovered that the clients loved that I had all of these people working for me in my office, but they wanted me to personally handle the case. So basically, they wanted this show to see that I was important because I had all of these people working for me. But then they wanted me to do the case because they wanted the important person on the case.
Of course, the whole point of having the staff is so you can put tasks on the staff.
Exactly. So I finally said, I don't need all of these people because my clients won't let them do the work. The clients would always be bringing the questions to me.
Right.
And so I finally let everybody go, and I work a lot less and make more money now.
All right, there's more on the way here, and you don't have to deal with the staffing issues.
Exactly. I don't have to deal with the drama.
You're right. 855-450 free. We got more on the BS jobs coming up here. Your calls and thoughts. Maybe you have a BS job. You want to talk about it? You're welcome to join us on Free Talk Live, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733, or join the Discord server, discord.lrn.fm, and it's Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
The warning signs.
First, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me, about my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
If you're tired of the two-party system but want to support a principled Libertarian Party, check out the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire at lpnh.org. That's lpnh.org. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here, 855-450-FREE. Maybe you've got some downtime at your BS job and you want to talk about it on the air with us. You can. There's, according to this Reason.com piece, Johnson, that you're sharing with us, 37 to 40% of respondents to a survey, I'm not sure when it was conducted, said that their jobs made, quote, no meaningful contribution to the world, which is a pretty depressing statistic.
Yeah.
And of course, that's all subject to their opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, some people might say it is meaningful to, to plumb somebody's toilets. Others would say that it's not. So it just depends on who you ask in that particular.
There's probably also a ton of, commie-like people out there who are serving people in business but feel like their job is meaningless because it's corporate.
Right. They hate themselves for it, that kind of thing.
Because they're doing business and,
and that's evil.
That's not contributing
to
the world because they should be, I don't know, writing or doing art or something.
Speaking of contributing, we have a way for you to contribute to the show, which is the Free Talk Live AMP program. It's amp.freetalklive.com. And thanks to Sean Sullivan, who is a silver amplifier, which means Sean is giving $5 a month to the AMP program. Advertise, market, and promote. You can do it with credit card. You can do it with PayPal. You can do it with Bitcoin BTC. And you can do it over from amp.freetalklive.com. It's super easy to get signed up. You get some perks, some benefits as a result of doing that. And please, it makes a big difference for us. It allows us to get on new radio stations around the country and bring new internet listeners on board as well. And you get those benefits. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. One of them being access to the Discord server special supporters chat rooms that are normally off limits to others. And there's a bunch of other benefits as well. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. Johnson, continue with more from reason.com.
Sure. So the article here continues by saying, while it's a commonplace that the service sector has dramatically increased at the expense of traditional industry and agriculture, Graeber points out that this does not mean that we are seeing an explosion of waiters, barbers, sales clerks, and the like. The proportion of such jobs has remained small and steady. The growth in the service sector consists primarily of such positions as administrators, consultants, clerical and accounting staff, IT professionals, and the like.
That's like in the public school system, the number of administrators to teachers, it used to be like 1 to 3, and now it's 1 to 1.
Oh my God.
Something like that. It's just crazy.
Well, not all such jobs are BS. This is the place where BS jobs proliferate, he says. As an academic, I can testify to the relentless increase within the academy in both the numbers of administrative staff and the weight of bureaucratic burdens they place on the facility. In particular, Graeber identifies the financial sector as a major generator of BS jobs, inasmuch as the overwhelming bulk of its profits come from colluding with government to create and then to trade and manipulate various forms of debt. Eliminating unneeded or harmful tasks would drastically cut the amount of labor needed to sustain the economy. Criticism of make work often focuses on the public sector, but Graeber maintains that the problem is at least as pervasive in private industry. As Graeber notes, this thesis will meet with resistance from many libertarians who expect inefficiency from government but not from markets. Graeber summarizes that what I'll call the first libertarian response. Since competing firms would never pay workers to do nothing, their jobs must be useful in some way that we simply do not understand.
Well, I mean, right. That's ignorant of reality, right? Like that's what somebody who would say, somebody might say that who's never actually worked in a corporation that's a large corporation. Because maybe at a smaller mom and pop level, they've got some of that stuff under more control because they can have more observation over what's happening. But the movie Office Space addresses this very, very effectively, I think. And this is...
I'm going to go ahead and need you to fill out those TPS.
Well, this is the Pareto principle. For the number of people in the organization, 50% of the work is done by the square root of the number of people working there. So if you have 4 people working there, then half the work is done by half the people, which is pretty good. But then when you get like 10,000, then half the work is done by 100 people. And so the larger the organization becomes, the less efficient it becomes.
Right. And in the Office Space, which I think somebody called in about recently, said it's now almost 20 years old, or it's coming up on its 20th anniversary. Great Mike Judge comedy. If you've never seen it, go check it out. But in that movie, they bring in a consultant. Right. And that's just part of the movie, is them looking at these people's jobs and seeing, why do we have you here? Right. Like, justify your job to us. And it's a hard thing for some of these guys to do. Now, it's just a movie, but they're talking about reality, because in a large corporation, one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing half the time, right? One department doesn't know what another department is doing. I mean, even Free Talk Live isn't a corporation, okay? It never has been. It's just a show. But there are some moving parts within this group of people that does this show, and sometimes there's communication breakdowns within just the 3 to 5 people that are the core movers and shakers behind the scenes here. So, like, you take those failures on a small level like this, and you take it out to, like you're saying, 10,000 employees or whatever, and there's going to be tremendous waste. Will it be as bad as the government waste? No. But it can be still pretty bad.
And then you might wonder, well, then how do these large organizations continue to exist if they're so inefficient? Well, there's 3 reasons. One of them is brand recognition, because people can only comprehend a limited number of brands, and so they start to recognize one and they'll buy it, even if there's other competition.
Right.
Another reason is economies of scale. And then the third reason is government doing things that favor large corporations.
Right. The protectionism, which protects big companies from upstarts, innovators, people who would otherwise be able to start a business, but they're prevented from doing so because they can't afford the licensing fee, or they can't afford the building, or the mandatory stove.
It masquerades as a crackdown on corporations, when really what it is they're adding regulations that only large corporations will survive.
So I just want to repeat this because it goes on here in the next paragraph. But Graeber maintains that the problem is at least as pervasive in private industry, and saying since competing firms would never pay workers to do nothing, their jobs must be useful in some way that we simply do not understand. Sort of tongue-in-cheek. In reply, Graeber challenges his critics to explain how employees who spend most of their workdays surfing the internet or creating cat memes are secretly fueling profits.
Yeah, they're not.
He also points to cases where such a job goes unfulfilled for months or years with no adverse consequences, or in extreme circumstances where the holder of a job stops coming into work and no one notices.
Right.
A 6-month bank strike in Ireland, he notes, caused far less economic disruption than a 10-day strike of garbage collectors in New York 2 years earlier. The Irish coped by circulating checks as though they were cash. Graeber is right to be unimpressed by the first libertarian response, but as he himself notes, a different response is available: to grant that private sector BS jobs exist, but argue that they're the product of government interference. Graeber is extremely dismissive of the second libertarian response, so much so that he apparently forgets about it a few pages later when he claims that doctrinaire libertarians always insist on the first response. But before he forgets that second response, he characterizes it as the product of a naive faith in the magic of the marketplace, and objects that it's circular and can't be disproved, since all actually existing market systems are to some degree state-regulated, he writes. It will always be possible to assign the results one likes to the market and the results one dislikes to the government. This response is surely too quick. Disentangling the contributions made by different components of a social system is difficult, but it's hardly impossible. Otherwise, there'd be no such thing as social science.
Yeah. So even in the libertarian perfect world of no institutionalized monopoly, coercive force being eliminated from human interactions, that's not going to solve the problem of laziness. It's not going to solve the problem of, failure of oversight of your business and the inefficiencies of these massive companies. I mean, those are all problems that will continue to exist and continue to be a challenge. So I agree that these libertarian objections are pretty weak, and we can continue here with more. Your calls and thoughts are welcome. Our number is 855-450-FREE. The more robust competition you have in an industry, the less waste and pointlessness you have. But we got more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
And here's Mike's best offer ever. MyPillow is now offering 50% off their 4-pack special plus free shipping. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-951-5617 and use promo code FTL. That's 50% off plus free shipping. Don't delay. Order now.
Bags under the eyes, crow's feet, Fine lines and wrinkles are things adults complain about as they age. Now there's Instantly Ageless. It works in minutes and is great for men and women. Here's a clip from The Rachel Ray Show testing the results of Instantly Ageless.
Board-certified dermatologist Dr. Whitney Bowe.
If you're looking to try to turn back the clock on a budget, in the privacy of your own home, but actually there's some recent technologies emerging, almost like changes the behavior of the skin while it sits on the skin.
She went off to try a product called Instantly Ageless.
Yeah, instantly you could see a difference. Even the cameraman were like, wow, look at the difference.
Yeah,
but I would definitely use this product.
This product, within minutes of applying it, it was actually a very dramatic rejuvenation.
Try Instantly Ageless today at gcnlife.com. That's gcnlife.com. 30-day money-back guarantee and preferred price discount at gcnlife.com. That's gcnlife.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here, and you can bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about BS jobs and the amount of waste that exists in the corporate system. And I think it's an important thing to acknowledge here because, and can you give the author of the book credit again, if you don't mind?
David Graeber.
David Graeber, and the book was called BS Jobs.
An analysis.
Something about that.
Like that.
And I think that, I think that it's definitely true that there's tremendous waste in the corporate world, and anybody who's worked in it has seen it. Does that mean it is as wasteful as the government? No, because in the government world, the waste is rewarded, right? Like whenever waste happens, they get a bigger budget the next year because with the government, they can just tax endlessly.
Right.
They can just keep going back to the taxpayers.
And the states brag over how much they're spending on public education without regard to actual results. They should be bragging about getting good results for the least amount of money.
But they've never been able to do that because when they get good results, well, they can get more money because of that. But they get more money when they get bad results too. So really, ultimately, it doesn't matter. Let's go to Bad Slave. He's on the line in our Discord call-in room. Go ahead, Bad Slave. Hello, Bad Slave. Going once.
Hi.
Hi, you're on the air.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Something kind of
drastic happened in front of me on the State of the Union.
Oh,
and I'm not
Is
listening.
it
I'm
because
just
Tiffany
watching.
Trump wore white? Is that what it is?
Anyways, getting back to our discussion, I wanted to say that that basically where, besides government and corporations, I think that the corporate privilege, which is supplied by coercion through the government, will be the death, if we eliminate it, will be the death of a lot of BS jobs.
So
I just can't imagine.
Let me see if I understand what you're saying there. You're saying that because the government gives these corporations certain privileges, like, the ability to not have competition through licensing and restrictions and regulations, that in the absence of these things, these corporations would become more accountable to the marketplace because they would be more likely to be competed with?
Absolutely. And I think also, the focus is the limitation of liability. Where you limit liability and the worst sanctions are not applied to the principles of corporations, those people are getting off.
Right. So, like a good example of that, and thank you for the call, Bad Slave. I appreciate it. So, a good example of that would be the BP oil spill, right, where tremendous damage was done to property as a result of that, and those executives were completely immune from any kind of personal consequence. In fact, their company was actually virtually immune from any serious economic consequences because the federal government has a law that limits the amount of liability that company has to pay as far as cleanup and things like that. They only had to pay, like, I think, again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was like nothing, like $75 million, like a drop literally a drop in the bucket for an oil company. And the taxpayers picked up the rest of the bill. So that's an example of that. So, Johnson, we're not going to be able to get through the rest of this story, and I don't think we really need to. In one of the next paragraphs, I was looking at it over here, he gives this example of the private colleges that are increasing their staff members at a greater clip than the public colleges. And so the author, so this isn't the Reason guy, the guy who wrote the book, he gives this example as, see, here's an example of how inefficient the marketplace is. And that's not a fair example. I mean, we can all acknowledge the inefficiencies that exist in the marketplace, but they're nowhere near as bad as government. So here he's trying to say, well, see, the government college is more efficient than the private college. They're increasing their employees at a much higher clip in the private colleges, he says, as compared to the government colleges. And what he doesn't acknowledge is the idea that the money is guaranteed.
Right, by the federal government.
Right,
Yeah.
their customer base is guaranteed. If you're running a private college and you can take federal loans for your students, then there's no disincentive. There's no reason that you wouldn't want to just keep on expanding the salaries and hiring new people and making the college bigger because you can just keep raising the rates. It's a guaranteed loan.
So one thing that's kind of interesting that the author of the Reason article addresses and sort of critiquing David Graeber's point there that you're talking about the universities is he talks about how David Graeber has even cited work from Kevin Carson, who is, I guess, sort of a notable libertarian. And there's one line here that says, according to Carson's analysis, insulation from competitive discipline turns favored firms, in other words, government-favored firms, into islands of central planning, protecting executives from the cost of inefficient decisions.
Yeah.
So, that kind of makes sense that as they grow and as they have to do more of these, bureaucratic things and deal with more regulations, that this is inevitably the effect of government.
I discovered this from running a business myself, is that there's all these regulations which are complicated, and I'm a fairly intelligent person, and
you're a lawyer.
And I found it challenging to get a handle of all of these regulations and all these forms I'm supposed to file and all these
which is why people
I'm
hire
supposed to file.
lawyers in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
right?
or they hire an HR specialist or something like that. They, in a larger corporation, they have people who specialize simply in compliance with these rules and regulations that apply for all businesses.
Compliance officer. That's the name of that job.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
I'd love to find out somebody. I wish there was a lawyer or somebody out there that could specialize in gracefully navigating non-compliance. In other words, figuring out the fees and because my theory is that non-compliance would be significantly less costly in the long run than compliance.
I sort of did that too for a bunch of other immigration attorneys. We were talking about the Obamacare, and I was basically saying to everybody, you know what, I figured a way around this. And I told everybody the information. They're like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, like planning for fines. The fine, right? Yeah, planning for the fines and planning for dealing with the fines as they come.
Here's how the fine works. The fine is deducted from your tax return, and if you don't have a tax, or if you don't have a tax refund, which most self-employed people don't, it doesn't go on your credit report and they don't sue you for it. It rolls over to your next refund.
Okay.
But if
which you don't get.
Which you don't get. So if you're self-employed and you never get a refund, which most self-employed people don't, you never pay the fine.
And they can't put you in jail? They can't put you in jail over it?
No.
Sweet.
No. So I said, just don't do it.
But Johnson, when you're dealing with certain regulations, like let's say our friend Will Coley, the Muslim guy who opened up a mosque here in Keene, he wanted to put a sign up. I think he went about it the wrong way by asking permission, because then they said no. Right. If he had just put the sign up, you then have the question of whether or not they're going to come after you. But if they do come after you, then they can usually hit you with a per day fine. So it's not like they're just going to come at you and be like, well, that's $300 one time. No, it's $300 per day. Now, if what you're saying is that in a corporation, all the compliance officers and attorneys, they actually would cost more than whatever paying the fines would be, then you may be onto something. But in certain cases, especially on a smaller business dealing with like a local government, it's going to be way too burdensome to, try to deal with whatever court case you would have to deal with to fight those fines, because paying $300 a day for any kind of stupid ordinance violation is just going to be out the window. That's not even an option.
Yeah, that's when they start to get huge.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can plan for that in advance, like there might be certain regulations that you could, in other words, that's what I'm saying, gracefully sort of navigating which ones are, because I'm sure that there is a window of opportunity there where there's probably massive amounts, especially for a larger organization or as an organization is growing, to avoid some of these. I mean,
well, I love the idea.
Cost of, just administrative, it's pointed out here, like all these administrative things, all the paperwork. And I imagine even, especially in, healthcare industry, stuff like that, it's
the hiring the attorneys alone
ridiculous.
To try to navigate this stuff when even many of the attorneys themselves are overwhelmed and confused by these situations.
It's not my area of expertise.
Right.
Yeah.
It's it's ridiculous, and I hope that we can see more efficiency come to the marketplace without government being involved, because it definitely does make things worse, but it still won't ever be perfect. We'll still deal with corruption in business. We'll still deal with, inefficiency in business. And luckily, if it's an open marketplace where you actually have the ability to compete without having to bow down to government regulations, then if you see an inefficient business, that's an opportunity to create one that's more efficient and outcompete those people. So we'll see you tomorrow online. In the meantime, you can join us over at freetalklive.com.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your Liberty Beat for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. Gold opened at $1,315, silver opened at $15.84, and Bitcoin is trading around $3,427. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, bolstering the already overwhelming case for cutting off U.S. military support for Saudi Arabia's years-long assault on Yemen, a bombshell CNN investigation published late Monday found that the Saudis have sold or freely passed on American weapons to al-Qaeda fighters and other militia groups that have helped create the world's worst humanitarian crisis. According to CNN, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have, for years, been transferring American-made weapons to al-Qaeda-linked fighters and other factions waging war in Yemen as a form of currency to buy the loyalties of militias or tribes, bolster chosen armed actors, and influence the complex political landscape. Citing analysts and local commanders on the ground in Yemen, where an estimated 14 million people are on the brink of famine due to the U.S.-backed Saudi assault, CNN reported that terror groups have gained from the influx of U.S. arms, with the barrier of entry to advanced weaponry now lowered by the laws of supply and demand. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% at checkout by using promo code SNLS. This is the Liberty Beat for Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. Find the Liberty Beat online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Not content with real-time crime centers forcing businesses to spy on customers in real time, Homeland Security has now decided to use RTCCs to spy on motorists in real time. That comes in the form of a report from ActivistPost.com. Last month, an article in the Baton Rouge Proud revealed that the Baton Rouge Police Department's RTCC will be using red light cameras to spy on motorists. The article states that Baton Rouge Chief Administrative Officer Daryl Kissel said the verbiage of the new contract with Vera Mobility, the traffic camera company, allows BRPD to access those live camera feeds. Vera Mobility's slogan is a new kind of smart mobility company focused on safe cities, smart roadways, and the connected systems that tie them seamlessly together. Roughly translated, Vera Mobility is using their smart city surveillance cameras to help police spy on everyone. As the United States-backed coup attempt in Venezuela continues to take shape, shady anonymous actors are waging an information war, manipulating social media with automated posts in an apparent attempt to manufacture a faux consensus for regime change in the online theater. Mint Press News reports that Juan Guaido, who had a mere 90,000 followers on Twitter around the time of the coup attempt 1 year prior, and 34,000 around January 23, 2019, has since skyrocketed on the platform, currently enjoying a following of more than 1,100,000. While the phenomenon has not yet been linked to manipulation by the opposition, it raises questions about the online influencers who have tried to turn the previously little-known figure into a household name the world over. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details on how to raise your business's profile in partnership with the Liberty Beat. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat on this Tuesday, February 5th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
After notifying students that there will be no awesome events happening on campus this weekend, Hamilton College Activity Board Coordinator Jessica Wilson from the class of 2015 spoke to Onion reporters about the disappointingly empty days ahead.
On behalf of the entire Campus Activities Board, I would like to truly apologize for failing to live up to the standards expected of us from everyone on campus. And the fact is, we let the school down.
Wilson said that while the board is usually proficient at booking plenty of cool events for all students to participate in, the upcoming weekend will have no interesting lectures, no wrestling match against Amherst, no acoustic coffee house, and no outdoor movie screening of Silver Linings Playbook.
We tried our best to organize a foam party in Dunham Quad for Friday night, but all the foam machines were rented, and we failed. This falls on us. We realize we don't deserve your trust yet, nor do we expect it, but we'll do everything we can to restore your confidence in us, starting with a comedy hypnotist show on Thursday at Minor Theater. Tickets are $5.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yep. Unafeared here and declare your independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA beautiful studios of Phoenix.com. All right. Today we're going to be, it's appropriate we start off the week with Free Man's Perspective with Paul Rosenberg. His latest Parallel Society is a newsletter that he does monthly, and it's, pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. And the title of this month is Forging a New Monetary Order. But it's not just what you think. It's using technology and cryptos and different things like that, but it's more than that. This allows for a lot of things. I watched Patrick Byrne give a presentation, and just here recently, and he talked about this on this show. A year and a half ago, we had him on, and we've had him on a regular basis since 10 or something. And he's He said, we identified like 160 industries, business opportunities that blockchain, we're going to whip ass. So he was explaining at the conference in 15 minutes, he goes, look, let me tell you why we made all these acquisitions, all these investments, all these creations of different businesses in different categories. And he laid out like the 6 categories that he had, like social media and monetary and capitalization and, all this kind of stuff. And he goes, we're in this one, this company, this one, this one, this one, this one that fall into these categories. We're building a parallel society. And, and of course, that's what I was seeing, when I was listening to him. And I'm thinking of Paul all this time. We've, many of us, certainly Paul, has had Paul Rosenberg, Free Man's Perspective. He has had this concept in his head and advocating and writing about for freaking ever. And I'm starting to see that technology is getting to the point where we're there. And at least we can start organizing it. PiratesWithoutBorders.com has been this mindset that there's a philosophy behind it. It goes down to the individual. It's a decentralization down. Technology that gives you the ability to get off the grid. We're above the grid. Now, we're going to talk about that in this hour, and we may even go long. But, I'm starting to see, and I've always kind of understood Paul's understanding that this was going to happen. And it's not going to just, spontaneous order, but it's always individuals that, take that quantum leap. I call it quantum reality. I take a step towards something, then all of a sudden that's all you see. That's all that happens. Everything starts converging on that. It's, what the bleep do we know kind of thing. You create it in existence by just thinking about it and doing it. And all of a sudden, you go, you know what I want? I want an electric blah, blah, blah motorcycle. Or I want an electric, off-road vehicle that does and charges out and sitting there and camping. And I got full and never run out and go across the world. And boom, they got a road rally going for that now. We'll have the story up later today. So this is just thinking about it. Paul Rosenberg's been thinking about it. Haven't you, Paul?
I've been doing my best, Ernie.
This is what I want to talk about. I'm getting the impression, forging a new monetary order. Give me the sum up. How would you sum up this edition?
Well, I would say that humanity has been for a long time, to use a nice word, constrained, to use a stronger word, enslaved by money, and not completely enslaved like people think of 18th or 19th century slavery. But we are tied into money, and we're tied into debt. The existence of debt over time is far more than people realize. And it has been a ball and chain around us, and we don't need it. We never really needed it, but we certainly don't need it now. We have different ways around it, and it's a system that kind of sucks everybody in and does it on purpose, and we can go around it, and we need to, not only for the outer things like, our children being born $1 million into debt, the day they're born, but because of our minds and what's inside of us. When you're in debt all your life long, it breeds a negative a deficit mentality, as if there's something we have to prove to justify our existence to even be here. So we need this for both practical reasons and for deep internal reasons, and we can do it. It's fun. It's a gas. You remember e-gold, when the whole e-gold economy was rolling. It was a gas. We had fun with it. And now with crypto, we're getting that too. There's these, big speculative waves that come and go and that twist people's emotions around them. But outside of that, it's just been a gas.
Okay, no, wait. Let's go back to e-gold. So a lot of people, they go, what? Go ahead and talk about what its main problem was. In 2003, when we started doing radio, we just to promote it, because it's a libertarian kind of thing. It was you would convert assets or collateral or something into gold that was stored for you, and that's what you spent. Wired Magazine did a big thing about it. Libertarians are spending e-gold at the shooting range kind of crap. And it was, a big deal. We would take donations in it. And it just this last year, in 2018, I think it was, that my IT guy that was doing that, he is also a lawyer now, and he kept track of when they seized all the e-gold, because that's a whole nother thing we'll talk about. When they did that, he got it back. He finally, like 10, 15 years later, he got some. I mean, $1 or whatever it was. He didn't care. Give me my freaking, And so talk about what that was and what its problem and why it failed.
Okay, sure. E-gold was founded in the late 1990s by an oncologist from Florida named Doug Jackson, who said, we need to do this. We can do this. And what he did is he took a bunch of gold, put it in a warehouse. I'm simplifying here, and let people, hired programmers to build this necessary software for it and a website for it. And you could, at the beginning, you could send them $1,000, and all of a sudden $1,000 worth of gold would appear in your account. And you could send that to your friend. So if you owed your friend $20 and he's on the other side of the world, you're not going to send a wire. A wire costs $100 and takes 2 weeks. So you just sent him $20 worth of e-gold. And it was honest, real money that was easy to spend anywhere you wanted in the world without asking permission, without any overseer telling you may not. And it was a gas. Pretty soon e-gold was, I don't remember, but it was $5-8 billion a year changing hands in this system. And a whole network of businesses sprung up around it. Exchangers, there were guys, I knew them, who were just traveling from country to country. Old people like, telephone company guys who quit their job and just did this, to pick one example, and would go from country to country, open a bank account, and then he would be able to exchange e-gold in that currency. And there were networks of people doing this. There were back channels whereby these guys would exchange with each other. Hey, I need $500 worth of this. Have you got it? Yeah, okay, I'll send you some gold, and okay, thanks. And there was a whole economy built around it. And like I said, I don't know how many billions of dollars per year changed hands, but it was billions.
It was enough that, it was fun, and they're going, oh, hell no. It was definitely a hell no. Here it comes, hell no. And it was because...
After the break, we'll fill you in.
I'll tell you, what the hell no happened and where they moved and did... my memory on it is kind of, sparse, and you're probably better than me. We'll get the headlines on this and why we need to do something a little bit different.
From the first letter of Dr. Idris Barber, I've healed many landlubbers, but could have healed countless more if they were willing to break the law to preserve themselves. The Crown required that I obey leeching privateers who didn't share my oath to do no harm. I was forbidden from discussing the treatments I knew patients needed. The Crown claims to protect landlubbers from bankrupting medical expenses, but only seduces them into begging for relief, while privateers monopolize the management of chronic illness. This royal alliance has constructed a medical hegemony that denies science, discredits alternative remedies, and mandates unwanted treatments, while callously ignoring the victims dying on waiting lists. They have produced a society increasingly addicted, impoverished, diseased, and suicidal. My conscientious objections and medical ambitions required not only seeing this cage, but leaving it. That's why I raised my black banner. Among pirates, the Crown's tantrums are irrelevant. You own your body without qualification. Open ocean medicine enables healers and customers to build a relationship of mutual consent. Prices decrease, quality increases, and physicians become as accessible as barbers. Customers determine their own medical care, whether that's experimental treatments, prohibited plants, controversial procedures, bootleg pharmaceuticals, or even the right to die. Any system of command and control is rejected. In time, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, genetic engineering, and cybernetic prosthetics could take the human condition beyond our imagination. Medical augmentation could eliminate aging, enhance intelligence, and erase our fundamental physical limitations. With the Crown in our wake and the individual at the helm, we are free to pursue an unfettered life. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Video game players love customizing every aspect of their character. One game, Elder Scrolls Online, has set a new bar for character creation by letting players design every organ and cell in their avatar's body.
In Elder Scrolls Online, you get to play as whoever you want to play. You are in control of everything from your character's face to their hair to their arteries. We're not just going to give you some pre-made bones and ligaments. You get to create the musculoskeletal system that's right for you. You can even alter the DNA.
Are all of these changes just cosmetic?
No, not at all. They have a huge effect on game playing. If your character's body has any anatomical flaws, they could die immediately.
Beta testers say that designing every aspect of their character is a compelling experience.
I've been designing my orc's liver for 5 hours now. This is awesome.
Designing the hands is the hardest part. I keep having to look up how all the joints connect.
Players can also press the randomize button to get a completely random collection of body parts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, and Paul Rosenberg, freemansperspective.com. This is, we want to get in, there's all kinds of different ways to trade. In fact, the first time I've seen at the Freedom Summit, Paul Rosenberg did a presentation. It was all on trade. You know, the ancient trade of the, avenues of. And I'm going, okay, and this is very interesting. You can see how humanity, we're, if not smarter, if not more brain box capable, just maybe not technologically, but, just realizing, asking the same questions, where do rainbows come from, maybe hundreds of thousands of years for Homo sapiens. And what happened to all that? What? So, there's all kinds of theories. It was ancient and then wiped out and asteroids and whatever the heck. But the point is that a lot of smart guys been around for a long time, and it takes technology sometimes to get down to Wayne's World, talking to the whole planet from the grandma's basement. And I remember this back in the 80s, the concept that you could even communicate with everybody at any time, everywhere, without having to spend, $1 billion on getting a network and government permission slip of bite me. All of a sudden, it keeps getting, like the printing press, down to the individual. Now, there was, how do we turn gold, something that we can count on, and kind of here it is, and McDuck it and roll around in it, and use it digitally? Well, there was e-gold. And just a proof of concept that kind of was useful, it worked, and it started getting a lot of press, and it started getting attention, and people started using it for the right reasons. I mean, because, they wanted to get outside of the man. Oh, the man didn't like that none too much. Tell us what happened, Paul.
Yeah. Well, pretty soon everyone was having too much fun, and, the Lords of Order had to come in and smash. So what they did is, first they made friends with the guy who ran e-gold. And they were inviting him to speak at, he was making speeches at like the Department of Justice, running seminars, teaching them how to find bad guys on the internet.
Yeah, this sounds like Ben Lawsky in New York Department of Financial Services, and then they arrest Shrem kind of crap.
Yeah, that's the same basic idea. They made friends with this guy who was a nice man. And then there were articles that started coming out, Business